started. Blood, sweat, and tears. Let's finish what we started. All right?
When this college football season started, 13 teams of the CIAA had circled November the 13th, hoping to play in the championship game. Well, after 10 grueling weeks of college football, 2 teams are finally able to fill in the blanks as the Trojans of Virginia State go against the Bears of Shaw for the title. These 2 teams had to come down to the final week as we take a look at the standings before finally getting here. Virginia State had had a 1-point win over Bowie State, finally won in the north, while in the south it was Shaw against St. Aug's in a shootout battle last week as they won it by the score of 10-6 to win and get here for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. Hi everybody, Sam Smith along with Stan Luter. Stan, it comes down to the final week. That just adds to the excitement of this whole thing.
Well, both teams are bringing their A game. That's what you should do. It's championship Saturday. They had to work very hard to get here. It's been a 10-week rule. No, it's been a 4-month rule to get to the day. And they want to win. Shaw, Virginia State, bring your A game, win a championship.
10 weeks, but 3 hours of great football coming up. Great players on the field on both sides. Our McDonald's ones to watch are the one that Stan's highlighting.
Tell you what, you've got some great athletes. One of those guys, Jared Battle, the quarterback for Virginia State. A guy that's very solid. He's not going to make a lot of mistakes. He's had 4 straight games where he hasn't thrown an interception. He's got to make good reads a day, make good decisions. If so, Virginia State's got a great chance of winning the game. LaQuinton Milo's the defensive standout for Virginia State. The number 9 tackler in the CIAA, 72 tackles individually. He's the inside linebacker. He's going to be around the football all game long. Look for number 5 to have a big day for Virginia State. And for Shaw, Kevin Atkins, the CIAA #1 quarterback. Why? Because he's very efficient. Darrell Asbury said he really runs his football teams with his legs and with his arms. When Kevin Atkins is having a solid game, so will the Shaw offense. But my man, Stanley Porter, you can't go wrong with a guy named Stanley. Hey, 6 sacks already this season, and who can forget the big interception 2 weeks ago against Winston-Salem State? A great defensive lineman, that's Stanley Porter.
Well, we've got supporting cast to go with our stars, but it comes down to our Toyota keys to the game, Stan.
For Virginia State, nothing big can happen. Shaw has 19 touchdowns of 20 yards or more. The coaches say we can't give up those big plays, keep them in front of us. And carry and cash, they got to have a lot of carries a day. Run the ball. The offensive line's got to be so efficient and cash in. When you get in the red zone, you've got to score, Virginia State. And for Shaw, be a run stopper. Make Virginia State one-dimensional. Take away the ground game. Make them throw the ball. And they've been here, and they've done that. 2 years ago, we were right here at Durham County Stadium as Shaw won another CIAA title. Will history repeat itself? We'll find out in 60 minutes.
3 hours of great college football coming up and a championship with the CIAA on the line. It's the Shaw Bears against the Trojans of Virginia State. It all comes your way. Pull up a seat. Enjoy a great day of college football. CIAA Championship Football is brought to you by Toyota, moving forward. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. By Food Lion, good neighbors, great prices. By Bank of America, this game is brought to you by Bank of America. Well, the good Lord has been good to us again today with a beautiful fall afternoon for college football, and it's all on the line here at the Durham County Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. Virginia State coming in looking for their first title since they changed the format. Of course, they won 10 other titles before. As you take a look at a beautiful afternoon for football. For Shaw, this is their 3rd trip coming here in the last 3 years, and quite obviously, they'd like to have an opportunity to get another title under their belt. Taking a look on one side of the coin, of course, it is going to be the coaching on the other side of Andrew Faison. Andrew, of course, a former Trojan himself, and has really done a great job with his program, while Darrell Asbury, you heard him in the locker room, and he's right now talking to the crowd as much as he is to his football team, getting ready here for a great afternoon of college football. Virginia State won the toss of the coin, and they want that football first, as they'll be kicking off. Barry along with Guy Ugas, back deep. And it comes to the near side. It may go out of bounds, and it does. So a big early break here for Virginia State as they'll get excellent field position on their first possession of the afternoon. It'll be interesting, as Stan pointed out, to see how Battle is going to handle this attack. He's been very efficient throwing the football. He's got some great receivers out there. But we may see their running game with Lyde, their excellent running back, along with Hawks, who also fills in at the tailback spot, to see if they establish a running game first.
Well, one of the things that they have to do is establish that run game. They've got a very solid offensive line. Copeland, Custis, Storton, Griffin, and Catterton. Those guys are very powerful. They're going to mix it up with their runs, with their backs, and they've got to do something on first down.
1st and 10 at the 40. They give it once again. This is to Antoine Lyde. And that great defense up front. Porter, Dees, Carter, and Robertson. They'll be tough. This is the way the lineup will go. Brought to you by Toyota. You see in the backfield, while the wide receivers, Young, Barry, and Lewis, are very capable receivers. Up front, as Stan pointed out, they've got some big fellas that'll do the job. And, of course, Copeland, an all-conference player, anchoring it on the left side.
The offensive line of Virginia State averages about 290 pounds per player. The defensive line of Shaw about 290 also, but the defensive line very quick and aggressive.
That was before they ate at Golden Corral today. Here's the first pass of the afternoon. It's going to be incomplete at the 45-yard line. As again, they tried to swing that one out of that backfield with Battle on a very important second down play. Defensively for Shaw, we've already pointed out that Porter has been excellent. Charles Dees, an all CIAA performer from tackle. And the other two guys, Carter and Robertson, again, are excellent. Ringo Martin, and an all-conference player 2 years in a row, Sparkman, are the linebackers. Great secondary led by the freshman of the year. In the defense, that's Darnell Evans with 6 intercepts already just as a freshman.
36% Virginia State third down efficiency, their first challenge right now.
3rd and 11 after the incompleted pass. Empty backfield. Flag is down. Over the middle, incomplete. And we'll wait and see where the flag will possibly rest here as they try to get that one to Barry, but short. Our refereeing crew today headed up by Rick St. George, our referee.
The illegal strip motion against the offense, number 21. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
Andrew Faison talked about getting off to a quick start. We're watching them in practice earlier this week. They were trying to get everything in a quick tempo. The first possession, they had a penalty, a loss of yards, and another incompletion. Not the type of game they want to have. The other good side of this is they can possibly flip the field. You've got all conference kickers. They want to try to flip the field, make this a field position game. But Williams is one of the best kick returners in the CIAA.
Well, you take a look at William Rudd, who was the all-conference kicker, and Justin Parker, their field goal, both CIAA players, and a nice spiral goes to Williams on the run. And he'll be bumped but knocked down, looking for another block as he gets the side of the field. Still on his feet. A whistle and a flag is going to be down after he got it out to about the 26-yard line.
The emotion of this football game early, I think Virginia State's got to settle their nerves. Been there, done that. That's the Shaw Bears. And again, you're going to have to be a solid tackler on both teams, but especially early for the Trojans.
Penalty appears to be going against Shaw.
During the return, holding number 24 on the return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 1st down.
So the Shaw defense did their work after the ball was kicked out of bounds, giving Virginia State the ball at their own 40. But after a kick and now a holding penalty, it'll be 1st and 10 for the Shaw Bears. And this ball will be way back inside the 15 at the 14-yard line. We'll have it 1st and 10. And instead, we made mention establishing the running game on one side with Williams running almost at will. That'd be a real key here as well for Shaw.
Versatility is the thing about the Shaw team. Yeah, they want to run the football as much as they can, but if the run game isn't there, they've got some very solid wide receivers led by Tyrone Bolden and Julius Gregory.
You saw the numbers on Atkins as they give it first up the middle to Williams. Make that to Dunn, It's Antonio Dunn running out of the tailback spot out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Boy, he got a giant hole between Washington and Belizaire up the middle here. Shaw offense led by their tailback again, Williams, along with Craig. All of the lineups brought to you by Toyota. Gregory Johnson, and you see the other receivers. Up front, Kaufman. He's going to play on Sunday. This is a great right tackle. 1st and 10 for the Bears. They'll try it again. Same results as Dunn running at will. And a second consecutive running 1st down for the Shaw Bears, establishing a very solid running game.
We talked about that offensive line of Virginia State. This offensive line of Shaw averages about 310 pounds. They're very physical. They want to be aggressive. This front three's got to do a great job of stopping them. Right now, they're not.
It is a 3-4. They'll bring up couple of linebackers right on the corners as they did there. But Shaw goes into the teeth of the defense again and will gain 3 or 4 yards on the play as they stopped a little short. This time Williams running the football as he and Dunn have done an excellent job. Williams coming in with 964 yards. Dunn came in with 283, but you saw him rip off about 25 really quick yards.
One thing we're seeing different out of Shaw, they're running a no huddle. They're trying to be very aggressive. Well, then Darrell wants to get on the board early, make Virginia State play uphill in everything they do. A nice set so far for Shaw University.
You know, Stan, one of the things is Atkins. Oh, that ball's on the ground. Atkins let it get it away. It was off the leg of one of his receivers. And Williams finally tracks down the loose football, and that'll be a gain in the play. I don't think that one's in the playbook anywhere, but it turned out to be a big play for Shaw.
Raymond Williams is always around the football. He looked like they were trying to set up some type of play action situation. Ball just fumbled and a lucky bounce goes, and Williams knew exactly where the football was, continued up the hole, and again, a big break. And you've got to have early in the ball games breaks, and that's what you do, and good play for Shaw.
Well, big breaks, and of course our replay is brought to you by Toyota today. Shows you one huge break there with another first down for Shaw. And a run uncharacteristic play. As again the running game over the left side. Down at the bottom of that pile you see Jeremy Pruitt, number 50 for Virginia State, their inside linebacker. And he is on top of Williams, but Williams gains some more yards. He'll pick up 5. Make it 6 as it's 2nd down and 4.
Williams done. You mentioned a moment ago, Williams already with 5 100-yard games. They want to pound it. Now keep your eye, and the eye back of this, the fullback is 89 Bolden. Eventually you're going to see him do a lead block, or they're going to try to get the ball to him in open space. But right now, Shaw's just pounding it.
And again, they give it to the right side again, picking the holes nicely down to the 40 for another potential first down. And a great second effort on the end of it will get Shaw even deeper into the territory as Williams, who again came in only 36 yards away from 1,000, he and Dunn are really establishing that game right now.
You know, the offensive line of Shaw University doing such a great job. Marcus McElvin, 60, Buckner, 71. Hedon Coffin, 73. The tackle again with Washington and Belizaire are just dominating right now. They're 3 or 4 yards down the field before anybody touches the back.
Trying the right side. Be nothing there as this time Virginia State really kind of closed up the hole in a big hurry. And again, you'll find those down 3 linemen of Townsend, Morgan, and Pratt, who have had a great season. Pratt in particular, 6 feet, 280. From Alexandria, Virginia, 5 sacks, 7 tackles, 4 loss, and 37 for the year. He's a big fella inside. It really plays well.
But what we're not doing is we're not talking about the inside linebackers of Virginia State making tackles, at least at the line of scrimmage. We talked earlier about dominating line of scrimmage. Certainly Shaw's done it on both sides of the football. Quentin Milo, number 5, Jerry Pruitt, number 50. Keep your eyes on those inside guys.
2nd down, no gain on the last play. 2nd and 10. Man open on the near side, and that's a guy they'd really like to get open. That's Tyrone Bolden coming off that tackle spot, or excuse me, tight end spot, and they just couldn't get it to him.
Well, that's one of their pet plays. You know, they play fake, and you go inside. We mentioned it a moment ago, and they just try to get him to the outside, get him in space. Bolden is one of the leading receivers on the team, and in fact has the longest pass reception for a touchdown, along with the longest rush. And he's so versatile. They'll use him at fullback. They use him as a hybrid. They'll put him at tight end sometimes. And again, as Tyrone Bolden goes on the offensive line sometimes, so goes the Shaw offense. But right now, Kevin Atkins doing a really good job of running his team. 3rd down efficiency now for Shaw. Let's see what they can do.
Number 1 in the CIAA. They need a big one here to keep this drive alive. They'll throw it to the opposite side with Bolden. Bolden's got to hustle to get that 10, and he does as he's knocked out of bounds inside the 30-yard line at the 28-yard line. And again, it is going to be very close on that far side.
I think he stepped out with the right foot again. The same situation, so right, you see Bolden just trying to ease out of the backfield. Great hands, good power. And I think he steps out. We can't really see the full view, but I think he steps out about a yard short of the first down.
There you see the numbers on Bolden for the year. Nearly 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. A big fella. Coming off the tight end, runs out of a slot, does a lot of things for this
12 of 22 4th downs.
They're going for the 4th down, but Virginia State kind of stacks it up at the line of scrimmage. And this could be close. So Shaw had great success with their running game, particularly in their territory, with 3 consecutive first downs rather easily. Now Virginia State has started to muster their defense inside.
Virginia State guys think they stopped them. Their offense looks like they're ready to go on the field. We're going to have to measure. It's going to be awful close, and it's going to probably depend on the spot. And we talked a moment ago about the inside guys making tackles. At the bottom of that pile was number 50, Jeremy Pruitt. Again, both of these teams, in Virginia State's case, they've worked really hard the last 4 weeks. They're on a four-game win streak. They've kept games fairly close. The games they needed to win big, they won those big, beating a very tough. They stopped them. They stopped them.
So that is a huge defensive stop there for Mr. Faison and company for Virginia State. And the big fellas up front on the offense will come in as they'll get a second opportunity to move the ball.
Let's take a look inside and see who makes his stop. Well, you see 50's in there. 93 does a nice job. Pratt. Can't really tell whoever, but it's the inside defensive guys. Again, this is what they talked about. Faison says we got to be strong in the middle, and our linebackers have got to make plays. They make the first good defensive play.
You saw Williams on that play in particular really didn't see much of a hole. Virginia State tries to find wine on their offensive play as Lyde will carry it in the middle, gets a couple of yards, actually 3, brings up second down and 7.
And we were talking just before they had to play about Virginia State had to be a tough Virginia Union team. They had to win a big game last week against St. Paul's. The game they feel was the catalyst was actually a loss. The loss against Fayetteville State. They weren't efficient offensively, struggled, beat Elizabeth City, and now they're in the championship game.
Had only 56 yards rushing in that game, as a matter of fact. Hollingsworth, the big fullback, tries to carry. He maybe got to the line of scrimmage, maybe pushed it the length of a football, but that's it. As that right side with Carter Robinson, the linebacker, stacking it up for the Bears.
With some nice little inside play. They try to bust the middle if you can. And Rahul Walker is their inside power guy at that time. And again, you'll see him a lot of times close to the goal line, that time in the middle of the field. But another third down situation. Let's find out what this Virginia State offense can do. They've got to move the football.
Walker had 87 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns last week. Flushed out of the pocket, Battle throws it short. Or do they make a catch? They say it's good. Diving catch by Barry will not be enough for a first down. Brings up a 4th and short here for the Trojans.
Barry had to come back and get this pass and see a little pressure this time by Battle. Gets outside, contained there, throws the ball, his nose is down. Barry gets there, a very solid receiver, but because of the spot where he initially dived for the ball, I think he would have had the first down, but a little short due to that good spot there by the officials.
Well, it's going to be kick time again, and going back to field this kick is going to be Alberto Johnson, who was the All-CIAA return kick man for the year. And, of course, William Rudd, the top punter of the conference, will kick one away and gets a beauty. Angles it away. Depends on what kind of bounce it takes. It takes a Trojan bounce, and that'll be an excellent kick down to the 16-yard line. So we made mention that offensive, defense, and special teams will play big roles today. And so far, the kicking game, Virginia State, pays a big dividend right there. The Bears with the football. We're back with more CIAA football in a moment.
Yeah, sometimes I worry.
Sometimes I worry.
What if something bad happens?
So what happens if someone gets my credit or debit card and buys a ton of stuff?
That would be really, really bad.
Well, the Shaw Bears, who again had won a couple of championships prior to the win last year by Fayetteville State over Bowie State in this championship game, their 3rd trip in the last 4 years, as Atkins brings his club out. Stan, one of the things we may mention, the 5 offensive starters up front are back for Shaw, but they've given up a total of 19 sacks, and Virginia State has had 21 for the year. That'll be a
lot of
battle.
those sacks they gave up early in the year.
Here's that handoff again, and again they try to test that middle, and they do for a good 5-yard gain.
Yeah, Sam, you're back to what your point. A lot of the sacks that Shaw gave up were early in the year, especially in that early season schedule where they played Virginia Union, Catawba. There's a nice block there. Boom, that's my man Bolden leading the way in the little fullback lead. Shaw lost to Catawba big. I mean, not big, but it was a close game. They lost to Elon, and that's where a lot of those sacks occurred. As they have played CIAA play, and especially the last 3 weeks, offensively has been very efficient. As you said, this is a very strong, solid offensive line led by Edon Kaufman and Marcus McElvin.
Good gain on the play of about 3.5 as Atkins is back to throw. The lefty swings it out to Bolton, and Bolton can't handle it as one of the white helmets comes flying out of the line of scrimmage as that ball fell incomplete. Brings up a 3rd down here for the Bears.
I told you it's going to be a rough and tough game. We just talked about Edon Kaufman, 2-time CIAA offensive lineman. And again, helmets are flying every which way. Asbury's taking his headset off. Everybody ready. I mean, this is championship Saturday. If you can't get ready for the day, then I don't really know what you're out here for. This is what you got to be.
By the way, our kudos to the fine CIAA staff and certainly the championship committee here in Raleigh. An excellent luncheon yesterday introducing all of the outstanding players of the CIAA and the all CIAA cheerleading teams as well. As now a timeout is going to be forced here by Shaw as they just couldn't get that play call. And you can take a look at a little frustration here on the near sideline for Shaw. Well, there's no score so far. 7:33 left to go in the first quarter. The championship of the CIAA is on the line.
Mom, I want to drive. It'll cost a fortune to insure you.
Nationwide Insurance? We need a freeze frame here.
Let's give parents a break, right? Let the discounts they've earned be passed down to their teens. Save mom and dad up to 25% versus the competition. We'll call it the Nationwide Family Plan. Here you go, and there you go. Unfreeze.
Whoa. Keys. Saving.
Third offensive possession for the Shaw Bears. As you see, no score so far in this championship game in the first quarter as the Bears will take over. They've got a third down, and they've got it just inside the 20.
Or Craig out of this.
Atkins back. They do come underneath to Craig. Good call as they get it out to the 32-yard line. Craig has been one of those steady receivers over 489 yards, and you may recall in the game that we did when they beat Winston-Salem State, he was their go-to man.
Tyrone Craig's a solid receiver, runs excellent routes. They ran this trips formation, and Darrell didn't like something, saw, calls a timeout, comes right back with it. They know they're going to get man coverage somewhere, either on the inside guy or the far outside the Z. They get that. First down for Shaw.
Short side of the field is the trips as they go inside again. Williams spinning from one tackle, gets away from another, gets it outside the 35, around the 36-yard line before upended by the aforementioned Mr. Milo, who comes into the game, number one tackler for this club with 72.
What are we seeing out of this Virginia State defense? They're missing tackles, and you've got to have a sure tackler against a guy like Williams. Almost 1,000 yards, 5 games already this year with over 100 yards, and he gets stronger as the day goes on, as the game goes on. And again, if you're not tackling and wrapping him up early, it just gives him more and more confidence as he runs the football. Raymond Williams last year was on the all-conference team. This past year on the second team. Some outstanding running backs in the CIAA this year. Durante McNeil was also on the second team, ran for about 1,800 yards. And then we had Walter Sanders, who was the offensive player of the year, averaged about 135 yards a ball game. So some good running backs. Nick Cooper also. And Williams, I think, is playing with a chip on his shoulders today because he would make first team.
Darrell Young is the injured player down for Virginia State, the sophomore out of Fort Lauderdale. He and Townsend play in and out at that defensive left tackle spot. And you can see him working on the leg. Hopefully nothing serious here as he struggles to try to get to his feet. And he does get the 260 pounds up, and the sophomore will walk off under his own power, and that's good to see.
Very warm day here, unseasonably warm. Mayor Bell, just what I asked you for, a 65-degree sunny day for football championship day, and he delivered for me. Thank you, the mayor of Durham. But, you know, Townsend, Young, Morgan, Vespri, these guys have got to play solid on their interior line, and they're going to take a beating. He looked like he may have cramped up or something. Hopefully he'll be back.
Well, Atkins out of that backfield with those 3 receivers. He's got 4 receivers with over 225 yards, and he's going to go to one of them right now. And it's going to be a big play out. It goes to Gregory. And Julius Gregory, their top receiver, now will go over 600 yards in receiving, big time, as he's finally knocked down at around the 37-yard line.
Well, what did we see earlier? We saw a lot of power offense. Now they go with 3 wide receivers. Nice setup, plenty of time to throw the football. Gregory, their big-time receiver. They feel like Gregory can stretch the field, and Bolden goes underneath, trips formation. Good catch by Julius Gregory.
27 yards on the pass and run. And the, speaking of run, goes to the 35 as a flag comes flying out of there, which would indicate a holding against Shaw. You know, Stan, you brought up a great point about Shaw scoring from outside the red zone. They have got some big play capability.
Well, they do. You've got Craig, who we've already seen with a good catch. We watched Julius Gregory. Don't
Holding,
forget about Royal.
Number 80 on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Remains first down.
Bobby Holiday caught with the hole there. And again, Holiday made a big catch in the third quarter of the game 2 weeks ago against Winston-Salem State. What Shaw feels like they can do is if you want to put 8 or 9 guys in the box, we'll stretch you out on the offensive side. They've got their three wide receiver package now. If you want to play out on the flanks and cover our receivers, they feel like their offensive line does a good enough job for their running backs to make plays. We've already seen a couple of big runs by Dunn and Williams.
After the step off the 47-yard line in Trojan territory is where the Bears will go to the attack. Atkins placed out of the pocket, still under control though, as he'll throw this one up to the near sideline, and it depends on the call. It is going to be a reception as Gregory comes up with the feet down, and he comes with a tiptoe in and gets the catch.
On the good news, bad news side, for the good news is, again, Atkins plenty of time, wobbles this ball down. Watch Julius Gregory. Can't see his feet. They're just down. A great catch. Saw Gregory before the football game. He said, hey, I'm going to make some plays today. Be ready. Well, Julius, you've already made 2 of them. Watch that. Tippy. Oh!
Like that 1 foot might have been out before the other one came down. That
well, remember, in Division II, there's no replay or replay challenge. So the officials saw it as a catch and down, and that's where we're going to play. But let's move on.
Second down, 1 yard after a big gain on the play. Williams will get the first down easily inside the 25 as the fellow from Cleveland, Ohio, a transfer from Toledo University. And in 2009, he rushed for 811 yards, and now he is hoping to get over 1,000 as he had 25, add a few more there, so he is closing in very quickly to 1,000 yards for the year.
The mastermind of it all, that man right there, Darryl Asbury, looking for his 3rd championship at Shaw, won 2 as an assistant coach over at North Carolina Central. We'll take a look at this last play here. You be the judge at home. Left foot, catch, right foot. I'm out of it. Let's go. 3rd down. First down. I'm done. You saw it.
Simultaneous feet down. Yes. 1st and 10 for the Bears. Atkins losing delay handoff. Williams in trouble. Big trouble as he's finally spun down right at the 25-yard line. And getting a big handful of him, number 92, Townsend, as Isaiah out of San Francisco, California, makes this stop.
Don't anywhere to go inside, reverse your field. Townsend, the big hands just makes him turn around. Townsend, a couple sacks this year, 2nd team all CIAA performer. A good job of pursuit. Again, in the 3-4, if your nose guard can hold up the line, it gives your linebackers an opportunity to make plays. Good play there.
Atkins on a little screen to the right side. They've got the completion out. It goes to Royal, and Royal inside the 20, down near about the 17-yard line. That'll still be short of a first down by about 2.5.
Good drive this time by Shaw. You take away the outside receivers being able to show underneath. One thing, if you're Virginia State, you got to be concerned about, Kevin Atkins has a lot of time to throw the football. He's getting in rhythm.
Ball was snapped. No flags are down as Atkins, who thought there probably should have been a flag, kind of hesitated for a moment. And again, we're looking around to see if there's any laundry down, but they weren't. And Atkins going, that's an interesting play.
Well, you see a guy jump, and you immediately, it's a read, boom, automatic, just snap the football. And you can see right there that everybody else was taking the back. Hey, wait a minute, what's going on? Atkins tries to get as much as he can and is very, very close.
Missed it by a yard, so it's
first down.
4th down and a yard needed here as he gets a call from the sideline. Coach Asbury was very, very complimentary of his club. And on the other side, of course, Mr. Faison says we'll show up. Here it is, 4th and 1. The handoff, trying to get running room. Williams scrambling, he won't get there. Virginia State's defense is held for another time as Shaw's offense looked like they marched to a successful goal the first time, and now again they are turned back.
Penetration is a great job there. Then let's look at the white shirts attack the football. They're in this football game right now. You see Milo's number 5 in there. Take a look. Who else is on this play? Number 2, that's a good job by watch. 3, 4, 5 white shirts around the football. Williams refused to go down. Good defensive play.
Good solid play by Virginia State. A positive for Shaw. They'll have to start at their own 15-yard line. Will the Trojans, so a lot of green between they and the first score of the afternoon. The direct snap, handoff inside to Lyde, and he will get maybe a couple of yards out of as he turns that left side.
Now, a lot of times you'll see Virginia State run a little bit of the Wildcat or the Wild Trojan situation. They'll have Light in the game and Kenny Hawks, number 14. They'll try to use him. He was very successful out of this formation in the game against Elizabeth City, and they try to get him to the outside. I don't know if you want to risk a lot of high maintenance plays right now in the territory, but somehow Virginia State's got to get away. Here's Wildcat now, get a first down.
So second down and a little over 8. There's the Wildcat, straight direct, and it's going to be maybe a gain of a yard as Shaw plays it very well. Blocking along that front line is becoming very, very serious. As Stan pointed out, it's going to be a war as the stop is made by Rico Brown coming from the secondary out of Florence, South Carolina.
You're going to have to find a way for Virginia State to stretch this Shaw defense. You're not going to be able to run up the middle against them, especially with number 30 prowling around Fred Sparkman.
Well, you talk about spreading the defense. Their offense is spread all over the field with an empty backfield as Battle gets a check off from the sideline on this third down play.
They like this set. Keep your eye on Lewis 85 or Berry 12, number 12, Berry.
Direct snap. Line of scrimmage is held. Pass going to be complete. And down it goes to the 32-yard line, and a first down and a big one here for Virginia State.
First big play for Virginia State, but it's going to come back to a holding penalty.
So Virginia State gets what they wanted on the spread, but they get caught for the hold.
Spread you out, you got man. That's Polk, number 9, makes a great catch. Has been dinged up the last couple of weeks, but as I talked to the coaches the other day, and it was at practice, they said there's no way that Timothy Polk would not play in this ball game. Polk had the big catch that actually propelled Virginia State into the CIAA Championship a couple of weeks ago with the catch against Bowie State late in the ball game, the 50-yard touchdown. But this is going back.
So that'll march it all the way back to the inside the 10-yard line.
Good look at Robert Massey, the defensive coordinator there for the Shaw Bears.
Boy, he had a great quarterback here last year in Smith, who ended with 9 intercepts for this Shaw defense. He had to find somebody to step up, and they've got several that have. Here they swing it to a screen to the near side. They get it to Young. Corey Young will carry it. Near enough for the first down as he took it to the 25. Tumbled ahead, and it depends on the spot. If it's a 26, that'll be a first down.
Got to take a look at that spot. A little quick wide receiver screen. Take a look at number 73, Broderick Custis. Get out here in front of this and make a play. If they get the first down, boom, right there. Give him a lot of credit. He and Kyle Catterton do a great job. First down, VSU.
They try to test up the middle again as they'll gain maybe a yard in the play. You know, that's interesting the way Virginia State that comes in rushing for $153, passing for 156. 309 yards. They try to be as balanced as they can, but they just, it looks like against Shaw to me, Stan, they've got to get that open and pass it.
Well, they don't feel like that they're a power run team. They feel like they're an angle run team out of the read options and whatnot. And try to get a corner, try to key a block. Wildcat again. Let's see if Hawks will take the football. 14.
And in motion, that is Hawks. With a direct snap, trying to turn the corner, no place to go.
Scouting report tells you when Hawks takes that ball, he's moving left, and they also had Berry in motion. They try to get Berry, Hawks, Polk down the field in open space at time, as many ways as they can. Now, don't be surprised later in the game if they try to reverse with number 12.
Good job by number 22, Gerald Kennedy, who did a great job on the corner to turn that play and make the stop for Coach Massey. Well, there's no scores. We've come to the end of the first quarter. Who's going to win the CIAA Championship? They'll have to do it in the final 3 quarters.
To help is on air.
Nothing has been settled so far as we start the second quarter, as Virginia State and Shaw battle for the title. Well, our fan of the game brought to you by McDonald's. Yeah, the big fella showed up, and he's ready. He brought his A game today. Our congratulations, our fan of the game. Virginia State back with the football with a third down play, and they'll throw it over the middle. It's going to be complete. That was a bouncing ball for Young, but he was finally able to bring it in as Corey makes a huge catch here for the Trojans.
They showed blitz and backed out of it. We're in 2 deep coverage, and Corey Young's able to find a seam there. Nice pass by Jared Battle. Plenty of time. Steps into the throw. Watch this catch. Concentrate, go down, first down, VSU.
Very nice on a first down for the Trojans. They quickly go right back to work. This is Battle He will not get anywhere. Stanley Porter, the big fella, number 99, says, oh, no, you don't. From Rosedale, Mississippi.
Don't try to run a lot of option plays much with Battle that time. Looks like that might have been a miscommunication. It kind of looked like Barry was trying to, or was expecting the pitch. But again, a nice pass a moment ago by Battle and a very, very strong catch by the young kid, Young.
You don't really anticipate a lot of scoring today, as Shaw is averaging, giving up just over 22 points per game. As far as Virginia State, they're the second best in fewest points given up behind Winston-Salem, as they've given up only 15.8. And their offense will roll to the 50. There's balls on the ground. There is a determination that the ground caused the fumble, and that appears to be the indication. Now they change it as they come off the bottom, and it's going to be Shaw getting a fumble recovery.
One of the things that took care of situations the other day was that in this Shaw-St. Augustine's game was St. Augustine's missed several opportunities to take advantage of the game, missed field goals and some fumbles. And again, this Shaw defense, watch, helmet, ball comes out, oh yes, clearly out. Now it appears that Lyde has recovered it, and a lot of stuff goes on down at the bottom of the pile, and the next big break goes to these Bears of Shaw University.
That, by the way, was their 24th fumble of the year and the 16th that they've lost, which puts them a -1 in the takeaway battle. Their defense doing a good job, but the offense turning it over too many times. Williams for Shaw. Inside the Trojans' territory for only a yard. We're just on the way in the second quarter with no score, as these two teams have come through 10 weeks of grueling football, came to the final week of the regular season to solidify their berth here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon for the CIAA.
Ball in the middle of the field. Let's just see if Darrell Asbury decides to go into his bag of tricks and try to stretch this defense. You've got a slot receiver, number 15, Julius Gregory. The reason Gregory is such a problem is because he's about 6'5". So most of the time he goes against defensive backs 5'10", about 6 feet, and he's really a good athlete, can get up. Let's see if they look at Gregory or look to the outside again to Tyrone Craig.
Craig at 6'2", a good side receiver as well. They look that way and instead come underneath, and Holiday could not hang on to it.
Wow.
Boy, Bobby had that right in the hands, but just couldn't latch on. He may have heard a few footsteps from Pruitt, though.
And he's still mad at himself. He said the other day that he was so disappointed and he didn't make a catch wide open last Saturday in the St. Augustine's game. Ball went right through his hands. May have been looking back into this brilliant, bright sunlight of a Saturday afternoon. But again, a play that you'd think Bobby Holiday should make.
Boy, nice look at Kevin Atkins, young man from right here in Durham, a transfer from Alabama A&M back home, an all-CIAA performer. Getting that honor at the luncheon yesterday, 6'2", 216. The left-hander sets up and ready to throw on a 3rd and 9.
Twins to both sides.
Good protection. Now finally looks. He throws it to Craig. Too tall for him to handle. Got some good pressure coming right up the middle that time, and he may have just had to throw that a little quicker than he wanted to.
One of the strengths of the Virginia State defense are the defensive backs. And again, they feel like if their front three can put enough pressure on you, their backs can do a great job covering Spencer, Gawuja, Ian White, who's one of the best interceptors in the CIAA, coming in with 4, and Justin Carr was out of the ball game. Sutton's going to have to come in and replace him. But again, they do what they have to do now, and forcing Shaw to punt. Shaw having pretty good field position after a turnover.
So it'll be kick time again, and returning the football is going to be one of the best in the league as a dribbler gets back, and somehow this kick is out of there, and a good one by Shepard. Smith will run away and let this take some bounces. It favors the Bears, and inside the 15 will be down there by the Shaw Bears. 1st and 10 though for Virginia State, as their defense has done their job, but for that matter, so has Shaw. Nothing settled so far. The Shaw Bears looking for their 3rd title in 4 years.
This site has a 4-star hotel for $159.
Nothing settled here through the first quarter and into the second quarter. Virginia State and Shaw. Quick look at our Toyota first quarter stats, and right now you can see the rushing yards very much favoring Shaw, while the passing yards also for Shaw. They put together a pretty good arsenal there. 1st down 7, and yards per play, passing and running 6.5. Good numbers there on our Toyota first quarter stats for the Shaw Bears, but it's resulted in nothing as Virginia State's defense has risen to the occasion on a couple of big occasions for them.
136 yards total offense for Shaw, only 28 on 11 plays for Virginia State. Virginia State offensively has got to find a way to stay on the field so their defense can rest.
They'll try to stay on the field with a running game that will test that middle of the defense. And Dees and Carter say no go. Got some good help on the support from the linebackers, and they'll gain a couple of yards in the play, but not much more than that.
Again, out of that Wildcat formation, Wild Trojan, Canay Hawks, just trying to see if they can break something. Again, what you've got to do if you're Virginia State is two things. You got to be offensive reliable, offensively smart, 3, 3, and 8. Not getting anything offensively. Stay on the field. Second thing they've got to do is they've got to protect this football, especially down here deep in their own territory.
Lone safety back is Brown in that defense. As inside, they hand it off. And this is Live into the second. Oh, he jumps over the defender at the 30-yard line and gets it out to the 35. That's the way you get your crowd into the game. What a job by Antoine Lyde.
Well, Antoine Lyde has been plagued with injuries this year, especially his shoulder. The little lead play, the little draw, get a lot of room. Nice block on the outside. Whoops. High hurdle, get up, let's get a play. Watch Lyde, and then you're looking for him, and then as Rico Brown says, hey, I thought he was here. Wait a minute, where'd he go? First down, Trojans.
Grabbing for air, and there was nothing there. It's 1st and 10 for the Trojans now as their offense starts to get some momentum, but it is quickly knocked down. The ball may have been on the ground momentarily. As a big stand-up defense by all of CIAA performer D's and his partner Porter, number 99.
Porter, 99, comes from the outside against the read play and just goes right inside, bam, and stops them. And if I'm Virginia State, I don't want Battle taking those hits.
Second down, they lose a yard in the play, 2nd and 11.
Open backfield, Sam. You can see pressure maybe by Shaw. No.
He's looking to his right, now comes back into the middle. It's going to be complete, but it'll be for very short yardage. Excellent offensive play that time coming up. As that time Howell was the first to reach him, and then Ingram. And again, they get short yardage on the play, but it was a completion again getting out to Young.
Well, they had 5 wide receivers in the set. And so usually if you see this, sometimes you'll put a back in there, try to blitz them. They didn't blitz. They dropped in coverage, nowhere to throw underneath. It's a good read that time by Battle. Young gets it, but only for a short yardage pickup.
Brings up that 3rd down and 6. Those that complete to the near side, it'll be short of a first down, gain of only about 3. And the catch made by Clarence Sims out of Cincinnati, Ohio. That'll bring up a 4th down, and this undoubtedly is a kick time for Virginia State.
Shaw's doing a really nice job and showing Battle something over the middle and then taking it away. They're doing a very good job of saying, okay, we're going to give you a short area to throw the football. We're not going to allow you to go deep. And that really takes the game out of Barry's hands, the wide receiver, number 12.
One thing Shaw's been able to do is put a lot of different people back there returning punts. Coming back now is going to be Daniel Lee, number 6. As a kick coming from Rudd. Rudd will single this onto the near side, takes a big bounce. Lee fields it on the bounce and is quickly hit at the 15-yard line, gets out to about the 16, and that's it.
Nice coverage that time by Alfred Nuega. Second team on defense also returned some kicks. Nuega, good play.
Just under 10 minutes to go before the halftime, and nothing has been settled. Shaw 0, Virginia State nothing. Wow, with 11 all CIAA performers carrying their team, 6 for Shaw, 5 for Virginia State. We have nothing settled so far here in the second quarter. Hey, let's test your trivia right now. Nationwide trivia question. Celebrating 40 years of the CIAA Championship. Who played in the first CIAA Championship? No, we don't have a new Toyota or we don't have insurance for life, but just kind of test your memory. We'll give you an answer in a minute.
We may have something for Toyota. You never know. Nationwide, Toyota, some of the many proud sponsors of the CIAA. We need some points right now.
1st and 10 for the Shaw Bears, just outside their own 15-yard line. Wide receivers flank to the left. They give it to Williams. He's got some opening. Williams out to around the 34-yard line. Falls forward to the 35. And just as he did on the opening possession, he rambles for a big gain out to the 35. Gains a total of 19.
They handled the power set that of Virginia State. Then they went to 3 wide receivers. So Darrell Esbury says, okay, we'll give you 4 wide receivers, 2 to each side and 1 back. See how you handle that. And let our offensive line just kind of find a crease. And if you do, Williams will do the rest.
Williams has gone over 1,000 yards for the season, including the playoffs. As now he gets another carry and another big hole. They try to grab him by the shirt, but it's not enough. Williams finally is tripped up and dropped down. He's dropped by Spencer, who just barely got a fingernail on him, and dropped him, but it's another huge gain And Shaw's really on the move on their offensive running game.
Nice job by the offensive line. You follow 78 and 73 Washington and Kaufman. Then you get in open space, and that's when the big fella likes to run. A little high step in action there. Nice solid tackle by Virginia State's number 2, Ian White. Saved possibly a touchdown, but now you see a little bit of a rhythm again for the offense of the Shaw Bears. And again, if they can get in an offensive rhythm, especially led by their quarterback Atkins, good things usually happen for them.
Williams needed only 36, had 60 yards so far. He takes a rest, and Dunn is in. 1st and 10 after a 12-yard ramble by Williams. Back to throw Atkins. The left-hander flushed out. Still under control. He's going to run. And does so down to the 46. Atkins, running so far this year, has 4 rushing touchdowns with just a shade under 260 yards rushing.
No place to run, no place to throw the ball. Atkins stays in the pocket as long as he possibly can. Good job of coverage by Virginia State. So they knocked the receiver off balance there. Atkins gets as much as he possibly can.
Shy of a first down by about 4 yards, so it's 2nd and 4.
But I like this set. Excuse me. I like this set for Shaw.
Really opens it up as they will force those linebackers a little wider. They didn't much running room in the middle. Going to bring up a 3rd down and short here, as Dunn will get only about a yard. Toyota replay shows you the tough sledding in that middle.
A lot of hitting in here. You can tell because their helmets are flying off. Look at that helmet. That's like the 3rd or 4th time we've seen a helmet pop off. But the one thing he does, Dunn says, okay, the helmet may be gone, but I'm going to keep the football. Right now, the ball's more important than my helmet.
3rd down and 3. 7:44 and counting in the 2nd quarter. No score. As we anticipated, a couple of very solid defensive teams against each other.
I always look for Craig or Bolden, but the stretch guy is going to be Gregory, number 15, top of your screen.
Dunn stays in, but Atkins looks to throw. Now he's going to have to run, and he will not get enough for the first down, does he? He stretched it out and may get it to the 42, and that could be close. That may bring a measurement. Little second effort that time by Atkins.
Secondary doing a really solid job for Virginia State, not allowing their wide receivers to get deep. And then you've got to close. And when you close, you got to close hard. And that's what Virginia State's linebackers are doing.
You can see the agony at the bottom of that pile by Atkins after Milo was the first to hit him, that middle linebacker. And indeed, the change will come out.
I think they may have made this by the nose of the football.
He made an accurate call on the opposite sideline a few moments ago. Let's see here. And it looks like they did. Good call. Got them good peepers, right, buddy?
Focus today. Told you, it's championship day. You got to bring your A game. You got to watch the game and no sleep and be ornery and be like the coaches. I was talking to Asbury yesterday. Asbury's in good mood. I saw him today. He didn't want to talk to me. It's game day. And then you got to be lucky.
Both coaches doing a good job. Coach Asbury was he said my first year when I came in, coming over from NC Central, he said they lost their first 2 games, and the president came down and said, you know, this is not why I brought you in here. But things have certainly turned around on a very positive note for Coach Asbury and Shaw since that time. Atkins back to throw. Throws to the wide side. Gets it out to their speedster. This is Gregory. And Gregory will make a nice move down to the 35. You know, when he gets a hold of the football stand, Pruitt was right there. They were jitterbugging. It's almost one step, and he could be gone. So a good job by Pruitt.
Yeah, he's a matchup problem at 6'5", and you run him to the outside. He runs very solid routes. Again, 3-step drop, you fade out. Long pass goes outside the numbers. Good strong arm by Atkins, and the receivers all come back to the football very well, very efficient.
Trips to the short side left. Gregory included. He is on the near far sideline, right, the closest to the out-of-bounds line.
Done to the outside.
They're looking for the pitch, but they don't do it as Atkins keeps it on the option play and inside the 30 to the 29. Nice play and a first down for the Bears.
They had a lot of success running that little set a couple of weeks ago in their game against Fayetteville State, trying to run plays to the wide side of the field, running trips to the inside, going to the outside.
So the Shaw offense continues to march relentlessly towards Virginia State's goal line, but the defense of the Trojans have said no, particularly on 2 very solid drives inside about the 25.
Traditionally, both of these teams have been very strong in the 2nd quarter. Shaw scored 99 points throughout the season. Virginia State 83. So far, we're batting 0.
Back to throw is Atkins again. Little screen underneath. This is going to be Bolden, and the big fella's running down inside the 20. Still on his feet to the 15. As Virginia State knows they got a load to bring down. Bolden, who's kind of like their bell cow, makes a huge play here for the Bears.
Well, I don't know what a bell cow is, but if it's your dependable receiver, that's Tyrone Bolden. You run the inside screen. They had him in a tight spot that time, and just try to see if they can just get a little wrinkle, get the ball in space. Bolden, 6 feet tall, and that's exaggerating. He's 5'10", about 215, 220, but he brings it every day. I like me some Tyrone Bolden. That's my man.
You put a bell around the cows that the first one to get back to the barn, and that's the ones they follow. And he's the guy that they're following today. Williams will not make much, if anything, here. Scrambles maybe for a half a yard. It'll be second and still 10.
In this Virginia State defense, we've talked about numbers a lot in this ball game. Average is only about 15 points defensively given up, and they've played very solid in their last 4 games, outscoring their opponents like 142-31. And one of the reasons is because they've made big plays inside the red zone. They're going to be tested right now.
So again with a second down and the same 10. Williams, the lone running back, wide receivers. 2 to the right side. Gregory to the other side. To the left of Atkins, and the lefty looks back to the right. Looking. He throws underneath. He's got it again. And down goes Holiday to the 1-yard line. Bobby Holiday makes another big play for the Bears. First and goal to go for Shaw.
We talked about Bobby Holiday. Didn't make a big catch a couple of weeks ago in the game. Missed the ball early today. A sure-handed receiver. Breaking from the outside across the middle. Nice time. Throws the ball in rhythm. Good catch. Delivers a blow right there. Inside the 5. Down to the 1-yard line. Bobby Holiday and the Bears will Shaw you.
Well, they'll try to take that middle. As a matter of fact, they even bring in Porter, as he'll be running out of the backfield. He, along with Kaufman, they're 2 big, 1 offense, 1 defense, are running as the tandem. They've got Atkins, turns, hands it off to Williams. He vaults into the end zone. Touchdown, Shaw. So Williams vaults into the end zone as Shaw takes the lead finally here in the second. Over the top he goes.
Very efficient drive that time by Shaw. They mixed up their plays, run, pass, get the ball in the guys that can make plays. Williams pretty much did this on this drive like he did last Saturday in the game-winning drive against St. Augustine's. 3 carries that time, 65 yards on the touchdown. This time he goes in from 1 yard out.
The point after will be tried by Reed. And Caleb puts it up and good. Caleb converting on 41 of 43 extra points as Williams gets the first score. And the Shaw Bears, looking for their 3rd title in 4 years, had drawn the first blood. But will it be the last? We're in a foot race to the finish in this one, even though it's very early in Durham.
Don't.
Well, on the sideline, Raymond Williams, after scoring the first touchdown to give Shaw a 7-0 lead. You know, this touchdown is just one of many in the championship games. As nationwide brings you our trivia question. And the question earlier we gave to you, celebrating 40 years of this championship, who played in the very first CIAA championship game?
And the answer would be Johnson C. Smith and these Trojans of Virginia State University.
There you go.
1970. In fact, the CIAA was the first conference. They helped write the legislation to have a divisional championship of having 12 teams get into the championship. So 1970. So before the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12, it was the CIAA once again leading the forefront. 32-14. And ironically enough, it was Virginia State, and they played at Rogers Stadium, the home of Virginia State. So they had the championship for many years, stopped it, continued in the mid-'80s, came back in 2000, and you can see by the excitement it's been a great thing.
Lincoln Shepard gets a real toe into this one, sends it back deep. It'll go at the 5-yard line, and Virginia State will get a big run back here. And they carried all the way out and up over the top, and a flag is going to be down, but some being hit outside the line. And a great run back that time put on by Dion Futch. as he has been alternating back there with Berry on the kickoff returns.
Another one of the receivers that's had some injuries this season, that of Futch, but they love his speed. Watch him take this, get a block here, and take it to the outside. Steps out of bounds there and then gets the late hit. That's where the flag came from. Definitely outside the boundary.
So it'll be a step off against the Shaw Bears. Personal foul, the call coming from Rick St. George.
First down.
And it is a first down indeed.
Yeah, we got to find out a lot about Virginia State's Trojans in these final 3 minutes and 31 seconds. If you're a trivia buff, the team that scored the first points in the ball game, in the championship game, has only won 4 times. But if Shaw holds on, the team that leads at halftime, they're like 6-4 out of this thing. So it's good to be the leader in half. And remember, we said both teams are most potent offensively in the second quarter. We'll find out if Virginia State can get on the board.
Well, a 1st and 10 with 3.5 minutes left to go, and out of the shotgun, it'll be Jared Battle out of Norfolk, Virginia. Lake Taylor High School takes the direct snap. He's looking as he angles it up the far sideline, but that time the receiver, I think, was looking to the inside rather than outside. That was too wide as they try to get it that time back out to Sims.
Well, they were looking for the wide receiver there, number 87, Sims, but you're seeing that he was bumped out of bounds. You saw hats flying. That was the indication by the officials that the player had stepped out of bounds. So they knocked him out of bounds, and it's a good job of the defensive backs, especially number 27, LaMichael Howell. I hadn't talked about he or Evans too much today. Evans on the near side, 25, the defensive rookie of the year.
6 intercepts, one of those for a touchdown, 54 yards on the return by Evans. Young man out of Madison, New Jersey. Here's the inside handoff, goes to Lyde. Lyde, who had fumbled on his last carry, securely takes this one down to the 46-yard line. And it'll bring up, though, a 3rd down play here, and still some good chunk of yardage they need of 8.
I like the fact that they tried to stretch the field that time on 1st down, that of Virginia State. But now if you have a 3rd down at 8, 7, or 8, it puts you in a difficult situation. You throw underneath, you try to throw deep, you run the option play. Let's take a look at what they're getting those calls on the offensive coordinator for Virginia State, Corey Sullivan. Does a good job with this team. Right now, he's got to dial up something.
You know, last 3 weeks, they have been dominating. 111 to 21 points they've scored. 21 unanswered against Virginia Union to win a big one there. Underneath, intercepted. Ball was knocked up in the air, and Kennedy is there for the intercept for the Bears.
You've got to be sure-handed against these defensive backs. The linebackers, that of Virginia State, don't do a good job of holding the ball to receivers. Bobble goes right in the hands of Kennedy. The Shaw Bears are rolling. Catch, no, bobble, Kennedy, interception. Shaw's looking for more.
Nobody more disappointed than Brian Berry, as he had that right on his hands but let it get it away, and there was Kennedy coming up with his 2nd intercept of the year. And the young man out of Dudley High School in Greensboro celebrates on the sideline as the Bears have the ball back with time to go in the 1st half. High snap. They handle it, though, and again they'll keep it on the ground as they push it to the 45. Williams and Dunn have done a good job of running the ball for Shaw all year long. Williams in particular up over the 1,000-yard mark this season.
Darrell Asbury, the offensive coordinator, along with being the head coach at Shaw, he loves these situations right now. You've got momentum, you've got timeouts, the ball in the middle of the field. You keep talking about it, but you just feel it coming. The deep pass to one of those outstanding wide receivers, Craig, or maybe Gregory.
Number 55, the junior, Belizaire, snaps it on the direct snap. Here's the pass in traffic. Crossed the way, in and out of the hands that time of Jason Royal. And let me, of course, give him a little bit of an excuse looking back directly into this beautiful bright sunshine. But it definitely was on an angle looking back to his quarterback. Incompleted pass. 3rd down. Still need 6 here for the Bears after getting the intercept. A fumble recovery and an intercept. 2 turnovers today by Virginia State. They were already down -1 in the turnover battle, so they're -3 for the season now. As Atkins again, time to throw. The lefty underneath gets to Gregory at midfield. And that should be enough for, I believe, a 1st down.
Torrey Ross is the wide receiver coach, and those in this area may remember him as an outstanding wide receiver at North Carolina Central and was the tutelage under Dale Asbury. And he's worked very hard with getting his guys to run very, very precise routes. You needed 10 yards, boom, he ran exactly an 11-yard route, comes back to get the ball, gets the first down. And again, the coaching that these guys have done the last couple of weeks has made this thing even better for Shaw. Dale Asbury said he's so proud of what his coaches have been able to do the last few weeks.
So it is a first down as they signal it. Clock is stopped with 1:32 as the handoff goes to Williams. Williams spinning. What a great day Raymond Williams is having. He's closing in on possibly his 6th 100-yard rushing game of the season as he gets a nice gain up the middle.
Nice job again by the offensive line. You see Buckner pull to the outside. You come back in the inside with Jared Washington, 78, Edon Coughlin, 73. Belizaire just holds up the middle, and again, Williams sees daylight. He runs to it.
Here's the fake pitch on the outside. Ooh. That was kind of a mugging job up the middle that time, and that was Vespri making the one-handed grab and then finally pulled him down.
Well, they wanted to fake the quick toss and have the quick handoff inside there to my man Bolden. Fakes it, boom. Bolden's your fullback. Whoa. Gets him there. It's not a horse collar. Doesn't have him around the shoulders. Nice tackle by Rashad Vespri.
Timeout is going to be taken here to stop the clock with 59.3 seconds left to go. And again, Shaw with the football. They'll have a 3rd down at about 4, and we return. CIAA Championship from Durham, and continues in a moment.
I started working as
for life.
Under a minute to play here in the first half. Shaw with the football leading 7-0. Shaw, of course, getting the only blood here late in the second quarter, as they've had some very successful drives, but nothing at the end of it, Stan. They've got a lot of yards, but nothing to show for it.
Drive. Possessions have been for Shaw. Didn't get anything, but finally the 84-yard, 11-play touchdown drive capped off by Williams going in the end zone. And that's the type of team that these Shaw Bears are. They're going to capitalize when they can. That was their 6th touchdown of an 11-play or better drive this season. So, again, they can ground it out when they have to.
3rd down, 4 yards. Atkins out of the snap. He's going to have to run for it. He's inside the 40, and that'll be enough for the first down, as Shaw will have the stop of the clock at 52-2 and then rolled after the chain is set. And it'll be back to a first down for them on our Toyota replay.
One thing that I think Andrew Faison will have to talk to his guys about is putting more pressure on the quarterback. Again, nowhere to go, nowhere to throw the ball to. Atkins plenty of time, tucks it, gets the first down.
You know, we talked about those 5 offensive linemen coming back. They're not kicking the defense out. Here's a long pass up that goes to Craig at the end zone. Incomplete. Great defensive play back there, as they had a good play again by Gainoga, as he made the play right at the end of it. And also Milo, the middle linebacker, back there in the coverage.
You know, you get an isolation situation with Tyrone Craig. Craig usually comes up with these plays. Had a big catch a couple of weeks ago. Gainwega, who's a 2nd-team all-CIAA performer, comes in there, gets his hand on the football, and then delivers a little bit of a shot.
2nd down, 10 yards to go. Clock stops it. You see the time there, 33 seconds left to go in the first half. Atkins again, up the middle. It's going to be complete to Craig. And Craig will bring it down at the 27-yard line. And that'll be another first down for the Shaw Bears.
And you're about in the range of Lincoln Shepard. Shepard made a 47-yarder a couple of weeks ago. He, of the 2 kickers, the strong-legged kicker is Lincoln Shepard. The more accurate kicker is Reed. But again, a nice job protection-wise by the offensive line of Shaw, and a better route run that time by Craig. Goes down 15, comes back 12, gets the catch, gets the first down. They down the ball, 2nd down for Shaw. Plenty of time.
You know, you talked about Torrey Ross, who had made a promise to his mom that he would graduate. She passed away on Mother's Day of 2008. He finally accomplished that and got her dream, as he not only is a coach here at Shaw, but also got his degree. And so Mom, looking down on a fine receiver coach for Shaw, I'm sure is smiling on this day. Atkins back to throw, looking to his trip. He throws it out. Tough catch on the far sideline against that sun, inside the 25 down to the 23-yard line. And I think that might have been Holiday again. Let me check when he gets up.
I think it's Bolden, actually.
Is it Bolden? It is Bolden, yes.
Yeah, and they look deep. Nowhere to go. Now, once again, at the time, you can count it 1,001, 1,002, whatever. You didn't have as much play in two-hand tag in the backyard. And then the off-balance throw to a wide-open and handy man that time being Bolden. Bolden comes up a little game. You see, maybe they grabbed his right leg and kind of got it tucked under him. But they tried to go deep, trying to look for Royal or either Gregory. Don't have him. The outlet guy is Tyrone Bolden. Bolden gets that. It's going to be short of a first down. And with a down to play, you wonder if Darrell Asbury is going to try to take one more shot deep and then kick the field goal.
Bolden, you saw, has to stay down by the training staff. Here at Shaw, and then gets up. He'll come off the
field.
field.
He'll be back. He's going to be back.
Bolden's the kind of guy you kind of feel, if there was such a thing of bringing your lunch pail, he's a guy that would bring it every day, I think.
Well, he's been a part of a couple of championships. Proudly wears his championship rings. So he's going to graduate in December. And is everything that you're supposed to be as far as a student athlete goes. There are a lot of guys that you just bump into, you happen to meet throughout scouting games or whatever. Tyrone Bolden's certainly been a guy that's kind of delivered for Shaw, as is Kevin Atkins and Julius Gregory and a lot of other players here on this Shaw football team.
You know, Leon Carey, the commissioner of the CIAA, talking before the game and indicated that Shaw has, of course, a little older, more mature team. That's not to take away from Virginia State. They got a lot of great seniors on that side, a lot of youngsters. But he said the Shaw club, having won those two championships,
maturity,
with a majority of these guys, might be a little bit of an edge. And who's to know what that might play out today with them leading 7-0.
Well, that was what we were talking about earlier on, about been there and done that too. Just 2 years ago, almost to the day, they won a championship against Elizabeth City on this field. The year before had a close game and won in overtime against Virginia Union, and then 3 years before that won their first championship in over 50 years against a very, very tough Fayetteville State team, 10-6. So this game kind of reminds me of that Fayetteville State championship that Shaw won. Tough defensively, a couple of big plays here and there. Shaw goes in, and that time I think the game was tied, and then they eventually go away with a field goal and win it. But again, there's a lot of football left, but Shaw can get a little closer to winning a championship if they can capitalize in these final 13 seconds. We'll see.
Shaw, by the way, had to go to 2 overtimes to defeat Union back in 07. That, by the way, was their first ever Division II playoff championship appearance. Great year that year. They continue with another super year, and a championship followed the next year. Atkins back to throw. He's going to be dropped. Got away for just a moment, but not enough, as he was going to be brought down. And a good job as they put the rush on that time. And Timothy Durant comes up to make the stop. Clock winding down. They don't get the playoff, and that's the first half of the game.
Big play by Tim Durant. 6 sacks on the season. Give him number 7 right there. The one thing you cannot do if you're Shaw is take the sack. You talk about a game-changing play. Make a note of that just before halftime. The sack by the freshman, Timothy Durant.
And particularly, as you made mention, they were very easily in field goal range to put at least 3 more on. Had they thrown that incomplete, might add a couple of more seconds to at least get their field goal kicking unit on. But Durant makes one of the big key defensive plays of this first half of the game. And Stan, it's turned out to be maybe just what we expected. Good defense, but you kind of get the impression that just one break one way or the other. Certainly the long pass play by Shaw set up their first score, but certainly you kind of get that feeling on both sides.
Well, defensively, it's been a very well-played game. Offensively, I think if you're Virginia State, you've left a lot of opportunities to keep the football. You've left that on the table. Now, we'll find out the adjustments over the next 20 minutes and find out exactly which team's going to come away in about an hour or so from now with the CIAA Championship.
Well, we've got Andrew Faison is down on the field right now. Andrew, tough first half. Almost exactly what we kind of expected here today.
Yeah, you're right. You know, Coach Asbury's got his team going, you know. He's doing a real good job for us, you know, clogging up the middle for stopping the run. And we can't turn the ball over. We turned the ball over twice. I think that's the reason why they got the score.
You know, you get down to that last play by Durant. What a huge defensive play that was for you. They were in field goal range.
That was a big play. Actually, I thought Coach would probably take the field goal, but he tried to put the nail in the coffin and try to get a touchdown.
Coach, let me ask you a quick question here. I think you got to be concerned that offensively you're not moving the ball the way you'd like. And the second part of that question is putting some pressure on Atkins. Looks like he's got a lot of time to throw the football.
The first part of that question, we're not moving the ball like we want to do. You know, I guess we started a little bit better late in the second quarter. You know, so we got to go back and clean some things up. We're missing some assignments at number 30. Fred Spock is coming clean. Secondary-wise, we just giving up too many big plays due to the pressure we're not getting to the quarterback.
Well, Andrew, thank you. We'll let you get in the locker room, and good luck in that second half.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Andrew Faison, a member of the Virginia State Hall of Fame, elected in 1993 because he was such a great defensive player for the Trojans when he played. Well, the first half has come and gone. We had a lot of action between the 20s, but only a final touchdown by Shaw has given them a 7-0 lead. We've got a halftime coming up. Don't go far on Championship Day.
It may be hard.
6997.
Well, it's turned out to be quite a defensive battle here in the first half with the Shaw Bears leading the Virginia State Trojans with a score of 7-0. And quite obviously, a lot to be settled in that second half of the game. We are very proud to join you once again back here at Durham County Stadium. Tremendous sponsor for the CIAA. Priscilla, it's always nice to visit with you. We look forward to visiting again.
Thank you.
Priscilla Webb at halftime. Shaw 7, Virginia State nothing. Thank you.
And welcome back to the CIAA Football Championship in Durham, North Carolina. Shaw, the Bears, lead the Trojans of Virginia State 7-0. I'm proud to have Jim Cole.
The big question heading for the second half of today's game, are the defenses up for the same chore that they had in the first half, with Shaw leading with a score of 7-0. Ours are suppling the arsenal offensively. We'll find out in the second half of today's CIAA Championship game. Hi, everybody. Sam. Well, as you may have heard the commissioner a moment ago, he anticipates a little more fireworks in the second half. We'll find out as Shaw has the lead with a score of 7-0 here at halftime in this edition of the CIAA Championship. Sam Smith along with Stan Luter back once again. And Stan, we anticipated the defenses to really maybe bend a little, but neither one of them really broke much today.
Nah, the defenses have been pretty solid. Offensively, Virginia State's had a couple of opportunities they didn't take advantage of. When Shaw saw their opportunity to fumble, they were able to take it in, get the touchdown, hence the 7-0 lead. 2
turnovers so far for Virginia State. Let's take a look at some of those defensive plays as we pick up the halftime and our highlights coming here.
Well, again, it's about making stops. This was a key 4th down stop for Virginia State, and he thought it would give them some momentum. They weren't able to do anything. Shaw capitalizes on the turnover by Lyde, and you see Williams and Dunn just pounding the inside. Game tackling by Virginia State. Helmets popping every which way you can tell. And then when Shaw needs to make a play, they've got receivers and tight ends that can do it. There's Bolden, goes over the middle for a nice catch. Takes 3 or 4 guys to get him down. Plenty of time for Atkins. Goes inside again. That time to Holiday. Holiday gets it down to the 1. And then flying through the air with the greatest of ease, that's Williams for the touchdown. And the 7-0 Shaw Bear lead.
So again, you saw a pretty balanced attack there by Shaw, particularly in the last one. Keep in mind that early on, they had driven deep into Virginia State territory, but had been able to score. And look at the numbers on how much offense they piled up already.
254 yards of total offense for the Bears of Shaw University, only 78 yards for Virginia State. Andrew Faison talked and talked and talked again about ball control, carries, a lot of carries, getting in the end zone. So far, they've not been able to do that. The 2 turnovers they had, they lost some opportunities. And when you lose opportunities against a team like Shaw, Andrew, they don't worry at Shaw about scoring a lot of points anymore. They say we bend but don't break. We'll just find a way to win. They'll go home with a 6-0 lead. They'll be happy with it.
And you see, of course, that 16-3 first down advantage. As again, the keys to the game. Can we revisit those and see how we're doing here, Stan?
Well, Shaw, has done a nice job in not allowing anything happening. No big plays for Virginia State. Boom, 4th down, they stopped him. Carrying cash 2.5 yards is not going to win this football game. You've got to do something if you're VSU. The run stopper, yeah, they've done a great job that of the Bears of Shaw, allowing only 33 yards. Been here, done this. I think part of the focus comes in being able to make big plays, seizing the opportunity. They've got to force the 2 turnovers. We'll see what happens second half.
So we'll find out exactly how much diversity these 2 offenses have, as again Atkins, who actually looked for a lot of different receivers, and we mentioned he has 4 great ones. On the other side, of course, Battle looking to try to find a couple of kind of go-to receivers. Young, in particular, has been one. Barry has been kind of surprising. They've gone to him a couple of times. He's the one, of course, that got the hand on the ball and got the intercept. But nonetheless, they haven't been able to really find that one guy that stretched the defense for the other side for Virginia State. You take a look at the all-conference team, and Stan, you had the pleasure of introducing all of these kids yesterday, and when you take a look at how well they have all played. Keep in mind that Robert Holland, a sophomore, and a junior in Jean-Pierre, a young man out of Virginia Union. We've got a lot of youngsters coming back. And Walter Sanders, what a great running back for St. Augs.
Walter Sanders, who, like I said, 135 yards ball game this past year. Just a huge game. Carried the ball about 38 times last week in that unfortunate loss for St. Augs against this very tough Shaw team. You look at these guys and their play, and they just do a great job. I think we've got Coach Asbury down on the field someplace.
Darryl, tough first half. We anticipated some great defense, but boy, you guys have really kind of gone nose to nose in that first half.
Yeah, we have. Defense and special teams are playing extremely well. We just need to continue to play well defensively. And, offensively, we just hit, we ran into a few miscues. Fourth down, we went from 10-10. I thought we could get the first down. We bounced it outside when we just should have stayed inside. And the score probably be different, but that's the first half. 30 more minutes of football, and I think we'll be okay.
DA, adjustments. Your quarterback Atkins has had a lot of time, and you tried to stretch the field a little bit in the second half of the second quarter. Are we going to try to see you go deep or continue to try to pound it in with this run game?
Well, we're going to try to continue the run game. That's our game plan, to run the football, to keep them off the field. And also, we just need to work the middle of the field a little bit more.
Darryl, thank you so much, and thanks for spending some time. Good luck in this second half for you.
Thank you.
There's the man that it's guided him to 2 championships in 07 and 08. Didn't quite get there last year, but again, he's back again, going for their 3rd title in the last 4 years. Darryl Asbury, again, a tremendous player, played at Jackson State. Also got some time, as a matter of fact, in the Canadian Football League in Shreveport. Also played over in Europe at Amsterdam, so he's been a kind of a world traveler, and now coming back here close to Raleigh and spending some time with Shaw, doing an excellent job in his 5th year. And again, coming up with another super year this year, going undefeated in his division in the CIAA.
When you look at what both teams, I think, have to do, you go back to what we initially talked about playing physical. Shaw's done that, and Virginia State's done that to a point. But again, they're not able to capitalize. Shaw should get the ball in his first possession. So it's going to be interesting to see how much Darryl's going to run the ball, how much he's going to try to throw the football a little bit. Turnovers, the second quarter is important. Halftime adjustment. One thing we haven't talked a lot about so far in this game, but I still think it's going to be a big variable in this game, the kicking game. Both teams have solid kickers. We haven't had a chance to see the kickers much from either team, but just keep the kicking game, the punch returns in it. And then finally, I think, who controls the line of scrimmage?
Well, since 2003, Shaw is 3-0 in championship games, so they have certainly had a good success in the championship games, and they'd like to continue that today. Virginia State, who, by the way, we failed to mention that, of course, Coach Faison is the Coach of the Year in 2009. Coach Asbury was the Coach of the Year in 2007 in the CIAA. So quite obviously, 2 guys that have certainly stepped to the sideline and done yeoman work for their 2 respective clubs.
When you see the fact that they're 3-0 in the CIAA Championship, you got to remember 10 years ago there was no Shaw football program. They disbanded football in the late 70s, came back in 2002, 2003, and eventually was in a championship and won it. And they have been, I would dare say, over the last 7 or 8 years, have been the dominant program in the CIAA. Virginia State's got a long CIAA football history, 10 championships. Lou Anderson won their last one in the late 1990s, 96, 97. And there's a great history. 2 black college national championships in the early 30s and one in the 50s. And a lot of legends. Harry Big Jeff Jefferson, who was one of the founding fathers of the CIAA basketball tournament. George Moody, as we talked about, and of course, my man Lou Anderson. So there's a lot of history here. We haven't seen Virginia State a lot in championship play, but they're here. 30 more minutes till they get their 11th championship, and just Shaw get another one.
CIAA kickoff man Justin Parker will do the honors for Virginia State. He's kicking deep, and it'll go all the way back. This is Daniel Lee at the 2. Lee gets some blocking on the near sideline, weaving his way through traffic, and carries it all the way out to the 45-yard line.
Well, we just said it, the kicking game. There we go.
42-yard return by Daniel Lee sets up the Shaw Bears. And maybe we'll find out if the offense on one side or the other is going to finally rise to the occasion.
Well, you get a good kick return right after halftime. You get the ball back. It gives you great momentum and a lot of enthusiasm. And I know Darryl Asbury pretty well. They're going to attack right now.
Atkins is going to be up under center.
Back in that I formation again, Sam.
Yep, try to use that big back up front. Give it to the second back through. And, of course, it's Williams trying to fight for yardage, and there will be none. Well, I tell you what, good job by Virginia State of stringing out that defense, and an excellent job by Larry Armstead. Armstead, number 28, starting for the injured Justin Carr today.
Armstead, number 28, does a great job of sealing, coming up for support. And they feel like the linebackers and defensive backs can just do a great job of coming inside and being a sure tackling team. Didn't get a chance to talk about that much, but I think if Virginia State will look back on tape, one thing they've got to be disappointed about is that they've not been able to make the initial hit and bring guys down.
No gain on the play at the 45-yard line. Atkins with a fake inside to hold the linebackers. Gets a rush and gets us away under a lot of pressure. And that time Sykes had a hold of him and almost brought him down. He was able to maintain his balance and threw it away.
Big Thomas Sykes comes into this game with a couple of sacks and always around the football. Put some pressure. Keep your eye on number 53, the outside linebacker. Play fake, roll left. You got underneath there to Bolden. Not able to get it. Atkins does a great job getting rid of the football, but he's in the hands of Thomas Sykes.
Warwick High School grad out of Newport News in Virginia. Sykes, he comes out. They bring a new set of linebackers in there as well. On this third down, they bring the nickelbacks. And they're running out of the stacked I again. 3rd down and 10. Atkins, oh, there's the delay. Gives it off to Williams. Williams trying to find some room and does. Moves it to the 48, but that'll be shy of a first down by about 3. And it'll bring up a 4th down play.
Nice call by DA that time. You got 3 wide receivers to one side of the field, and it's an obviously pass situation. Virginia State brings in an extra defensive back, so you run the draw. And again, if Williams has done a great job of keeping balance and maintaining balance after the 2nd or 3rd in, that time just a little short for the first down.
Toyota bringing you our replays today throughout the CIAA Championship game. It will be kick time, and Lincoln Shepard will be back to kick. Average 36 yards per kick this year, 53, his longest of the year. And a nice spiral. The nose is turning down, and a fair catch is going to be made. And it'll be Virginia State's ball after Sean Smith makes the catch, and he'll turn it over to the offense. Now it's the Trojans' turn to see if their offense can at least light the wicket.
Yeah, sometimes I worry.
Sometimes I worry. What if something bad happens? So what happens if someone gets my credit or debit card and buys a ton of stuff?
That would be
Road trip!
CIAA Championship Football is brought to you by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. By Bank of America. This game is brought to you by Bank of America. By Toyota, moving forward. And by Food Lion. Good neighbors, great prices. Sam Smith along with Stan Luter back here at Championship Day for the CIAA. As Virginia State will take over, and that is Jared Battle, their quarterback, out of the shotgun. Gives it to Light. He sweeps it to the right side, and there's Sparkman who's going to say, no, you're not going to get by this side. And, of course, some excellent defense on that far side by Shaw. As the middle linebacker that time, Chris Martin, ran that one down pretty well.
Virginia State, 10 minutes, 57 seconds in time of possession. And that play is a stretch play. You're trying to find a seam and cut inside. Now you don't get anything on first down. So you're in the 2nd down and 11 situation. Puts more and more pressure on Battle to try to make a play. You don't make the play, the field gets flipped, and puts Shaw back in excellent field position.
There you see a pretty good synopsis of this offense for Virginia State in that first half of the game. And again, a couple of turnovers and had to punt 3 times as they try to belly it in the middle. By the way, a note on the defense for Shaw. They allowed 22.9 points per game, and that included 137 points in the first half, but only 92 in the second half of the game. So their defense even gets stronger in the second half of the game.
They take pride in being a second half team. In 3 of their last 4 ball games, they've been behind at some point by halftime and have been able to find a way to win.
And that's where Virginia State has to be very creative with this 3rd down and 9. Out of the shotgun, Battle. Looking, he's got some time, throws it near side. That'll be coming back to make the catch is Young. But they didn't get it up the field as far as they needed, certainly at the 25. So it's kick time for the Trojans as they'll have to kick that football away again.
Battle. Little happy feet. Sees he throws off his back foot a little bit, not able to really put any lean into it. Step into that pass is short. a 3-and-out. I think that's like the third or fourth 3-and-out Virginia State's had today.
Actually, other than Barry, who had the catch and then lost it to the intercept, they haven't thrown over the middle a lot. Certainly respecting the defensive backs for Shaw. They'll be coming after Rudd. He does get it out of there. Booms one to the near side, and Lee will watch it bounce. Now he finally picks it up and will be down at about the 41. Excellent coverage down once again, and I tell you what, Aruga has been down very, very nicely on the secondary special teams player and a defensive back here for Virginia State. Well, it's Shaw's turn again. What happens? We'll find out in a moment.
This season, let's lose the foe. No fake trees.
We saw those halftime stats of Shaw, how they're building up some offense. They've had some big days. 253 yards rushing against Livingstone, 315 passing against Virginia Union with the 6 touchdowns, and 511 total yards against Shawan. And that, of course, included 8.8 yards per play. So they've had some big offensive days, and now their offense is back on the field for the second time here in the second half. 1st and 10 at their own 41. Leading by the score of 7-0. Looking for their 4th championship as they swing it near side to Craig. He'll make the catch outside the 45 as the defense of Virginia State collapsed pretty quickly.
Making side adjustments as part of the quarterback routine at Shaw University. Dale Asbury being a former quarterback, they get a signal, they look and see if that's the same thing that matches up defensively. They saw they were playing short off Craig, so you just take the ball, boom, quick out to Craig. Craig picks about 5, 6, 7 yards on the play, gives you something to do on 1st down, positive plays.
Good matchup one-on-one. Craig is flanked to the near side. He's up against all CIAA cornerback White as they go opposite, and the pitch to Williams, and he gets it deeper now into Virginia State territory and will rack up still another 1st down here for the Shaw Bears. They have dominated that 1st down category today.
Toss play, get outside, get a good block by Buckner, 71. We see it and talked about it all game long. McElvin on that left side, bam, boom. 1st down, the Bears of Shaw University.
You know, there's one thing about a great runner that has a lot of speed. Sometimes you'll outrun your blocking. And that time, just a little hesitation by Williams. Blocks were being set up. He tried to read outside, and that block was inside. So just a little hesitation with that great speed, and then boom, you hit it. Look at the numbers he's had today. 90 yards already by Williams. Here comes the end around. Shaw's got him guessing now, as they'll carry that one down on a good run by Jason Royal. Young man out of Baton Rouge.
You just had the feeling that Shaw was trying to set you up inside and pop outside. They've got this in the arsenal. They've also got a pass out of this. Just another nice play call. Keep you off balance. Run to the left. We saw Williams with success. Boom, Atkins and flip. There's Royal. Gets outside. Another good positive play. And here's look at number 15, Tyrone Gregory. That's part of what the Shaw wide receivers have done. Great job of all year long. They're very unselfish. You don't get the ball, they go downfield and block.
Royal stays in as one of the trips to the left. They give it inside to Williams. Williams bouncing off blockers and tacklers as well. Still trying to fight for yardage. I believe he might have got to about the 28. As again, the helmets go flying.
Helmets flying, but people aren't locking up on Virginia State. Williams is doing a great job of bouncing to the outside. If he doesn't get anything in the middle, bam, takes it, keeps those legs turning. That's one of the reasons he's one of the top running backs in the CIAA.
By the way, listening to a couple of the scouts that were looking at some of the practices, they really like Kaufman, number 73, the right tackle. He is a senior at 6'6", 300 pounds, excellent feet. Good pass protector. They really like an opportunity for him to look and maybe play a little Sunday football.
Trips left and a little motion out of the wide receiver Royal.
2nd and 10. Atkins, plenty of time to throw. It breaks down and he has to run. Gets the block from Dunn. Still on his feet and out of bounds inside the 15. Boy, Antonio Dunn really set up a nice block. And Atkins read it perfectly on the near side to get himself another 10 yards.
The reason that Kevin Atkins has such good numbers is he makes solid decisions. You take away the wide receiver cut. They put Royal in motion. He opens up the middle. He couldn't go underneath. No receivers. Good job by the defensive backs of Virginia State. But Atkins recognizes that and has another nice positive gain.
By the way, wide receiver coach Torrey Ross has now sent in a real speedster, and Alberto Johnson, number 18. He's in the slot on the left side on the trips. 1st and 10 for the Bears, leading 7-0. There's Johnson in the slot on the left. Instead, they go inside with a running game. And again, they'll do what they need to do, and that, of course, is just to keep Virginia State guessing. And another good run by Dunn as he gains about 6 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 4.
Execution at the point of attack, and we talk about who controls the line of scrimmage. Right now, that control is going to the Shaw Bears and the offensive line, and you get a lot of time for Antonio Dunn or Raymond Williams to pick apart the defense of the Trojans.
You know, Stan, this is such a luxury when you got Williams and Dunn together. Both are very, very potent runners.
Well, they try to separate those two guys. Williams has been dinged up some throughout the year, so Dunn's had an opportunity to carry. They'll either run it 3 or 4 wides out. When they need a fullback, that's usually when they see Bolden.
Atkins in the pocket. Atkins on his feet at the 5. Out of bounds at around the 3. And again, that'll be close to a 1st and goal, as they had to get inside the 4 and maybe nearly to the 3 for the 1st down.
Again, good job by the coverage of the Virginia State Trojans. Nowhere to go, and then Atkins again takes it in, takes it down inside the 5, and just keeps the chains moving, keeps getting 1st downs, getting closer and closer to the goal line.
You know, Atkins is he's been dinged up a little. He's really, look out, he's limping back to that huddle. I don't think there's going to be any chance he's going to come out of the game.
Be back. He'll
he's
be
playing
fine
with some pain today.
You can see that leg just kind of buckle right there at the end of the play.
Ouch. So again, a timeout's going to be taken by Virginia State. That gives Atkins a little more time to recuperate here. And as they do, 7:34 to go in the 3rd. Shaw knocking on the door again with a 7-0 lead in the CIAA Championship game. Well, as you take a look at a couple of the fans. Wait a minute. Did they have a ticket? They're outside the stadium, way outside the stadium. On the other end of the football field, Shaw's knocking on the door. Atkins 1st and goal to go. Behind the 2 big tanks, they give it off to Bolden. And Bolden gets only to about the line of scrimmage, and that's it.
They brought Charles Dees in the ball game as one of those up backs, along with the power inside run of Bolden.
They also brought Porter in, so the 2 big fellas were blocking up front for him.
And they've done this before. A couple of years ago, they bring in their big line, the big defensive players and everything. Somebody's down here. Now what they'll probably do is go to maybe a 3 or 4 wide receiver package. We'll see after this play. Who's that down?
That is not good. I believe that's Porter. That is a great defensive end. Nope, it is going to be number 65, I believe now. Well, 2008, a championship game. It was certainly another exciting one with Shaw coming up with a win, but a score of 36-7 here.
Against a very pesky Elizabeth City team. But there's my man, Tyrone Bolden, going in early and getting the 24-yard touchdown pass from Travis Robinson. This kid is going to be a player, too. Manley had a nice season that year, had a good year this year. Dexter Manley, that's the only plays. This was the backbreaker. First possession, Linnell King, 48-yard touchdown pass, and the Shaw Bears rolled. I mean, they rolled. There's that jumbo package right there, those 2 big guys. Lewis Ellis and company, they go in and score. You know, Aaron Ellison in there for the touchdown. DA says, yeah, as the sun goes down, we've won another championship, 36-7. The Bears are Shaw. As you look over the history of the last 10 years of this new championship, you see the dominant name there, Shaw Bears. And then you look at 05 and 06. Hey, DA was a part of that. So he's won a lot of championships trying to get another ring.
Well, they take the 2 big fellas out of there. They keep in with Bolden and Williams, the deep back. As a 2nd and goal to go, they finally were stopped at the 4. The pitch to Williams, trying to get him outside the defense. He's turned back the other way, looking for a block. Still looking, and he'll be brought down at the 7-yard line. So Shaw really grasping for straws rather than doing what they've done all day, and that's just line up and beat you at the line of scrimmage. They brought in the big package. Now they try to go wide on you.
Little fake the pitch toss right there. Nice job of containment by the outside backers of Virginia State. Reverse the field. You got to duck your head and just try to get inside. And then the pursuit that time of the Virginia State Trojans. Desperate right now, trying to keep Shaw out of the end zone. Here's what we were looking for now. 3 wide receivers to one side. The inside guy closest to the tackle. That's Tyrone Bolden. Some way, somehow, he'll be involved in some of this action. 82-15, 15 being Gregory.
Timothy Durant making that last play and turning that back in. Here's Atkins looking. He's going to be dropped for a loss as he tries to throw that away. In the grass. Or was it an incompleted pass? That'll be the decision to be made.
Now you're looking at the referee, and he's trying to decide if he's going to throw a flag. I think he did, or is that a shoe I see?
I
if he did throw the flag.
Yes, Morgan, the big nose tackle, had him in the grasp. And what a turn of events defensively here for Virginia State.
Well, a great job defensively, as you said, by those Trojans of Virginia State. You're in a third down situation. Morgan stays home, puts the pressure on. There's no receiver in the area. Atkinson
number 5 on the offense.
Loss of down.
4th down.
And indeed it was intentional grounding, so it'll be the loss of down, the penalty. That'll make it a little longer for Reed, who was on to try the field goal.
I think if you're Virginia State and you can hold Shaw to a field goal here, you've done a very good job.
And particularly with the stop they made just before halftime, too, Stan.
Yeah.
Their defense has certainly brought their A game. The offense has got to catch up. This is going to be from the 23, so a 33-yard try.
Reed's longest was 34 early in the year against Elizabeth City.
Angle left.
Got to get it up.
Backup quarterback Odom to hold. It is blocked. Picked up. Back it goes the other way for Virginia State. They may have a touchdown out of this. Virginia State. Naroga will take it all the way back on a blocked field goal, and it's 7-6.
You've got to get the ball up. That angle, Alfred Gallega gets the pickup and takes it to the house, and boy, have things changed in the last 30 seconds.
Not sure who made the block at the line of scrimmage. Our Toyota replays will help us out on that, but it was Nayoga who took it up, and the length of the field, touchdown Virginia State. And their fans finally have something to cheer about. That was blocked straight up the middle that time. Number 52, that is Clinton Haney, a sophomore out of Orlando, Florida, got the block. 76 yards after he picked the ball up. Wow. Try for the extra point to tie the game by Justin Parker.
Anytime you have a kick, especially of short distance, inside of 35 yards, you've got to get the ball, you've got to get elevation. This was a kick from the angle. We mentioned a moment ago that Reed had only made 3 out of 4 field goals, and his longest was 34. I think this was a 33-yard field goal. You've got to get the ball up very quickly. They just broke through, blocked that kick very quick, and then again to be able to make the change from defense to offense, Virginia State does. Here's the big important point after touchdown.
This guy's almost automatic from the extra point situation. As Parker
32 or 34.
And this one is up, and it is good. And we are tied at 7. And quite obviously a big opportunity here for this team to make things happen. So again, jubilation on one side, a little shock on the other, as Virginia State gets a block on a field goal and takes it 76 yards. The extra point, and we are tied, heading now to the final 5.5 of the third.
Sam, watch this, the elevation. They just get in and block it. Reed never had a chance. The ball goes up into Alfred Gallega's hands. He's going to take it 76 yards to the house. Now, if you're a history buff in the CIAA Championship, you might remember a couple of years ago, Robbie Henson of Shaw took one 35 yards off a block punt for a win. Most of the time, I'm just going to give you a little something great to think about. Anytime you've blocked the kick and returned it for a touchdown in the championship game, you've ended up winning that championship game. I don't know what that means. I'm just giving you some information. Devin Chapman returned a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Hey, I'm just trying to give you the information. I've been in the game. I see it. I feel it. What a day for football.
I actually went to the record book to see what the longest of a blocked field goal return for a touchdown, and there's not one listed there.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you.
So again, as Coach Asbury on the sideline, now we'll watch as his team will at least get the football back. And their offense, who had just meticulously worked that all the way down to the 4, maybe almost the 3-yard line, only to find real problems against the Trojan defense. And then real problems when it was blocked, and 76 yards later, and the extra point and a tie at 7 each.
That was the first kick that Shaw had blocked this year. It was the third kick that Virginia State had blocked this season.
Here's the kick by Parker, all the way at the 2-yard line. Holiday on the run, and back it comes to the 27-yard line.
And the fans from Petersburg, this is only a 2-hour drive from Petersburg to Durham. We can make it. They're letting everybody know they're here right now.
Andre Rawls on the stop, special teams wise for the Trojans. And now the Shaw Bears. You know, this, I tell you what, has to be a little bit frustrating for them is the fact that they've just controlled this game offensively, and they got 7 points on the board.
Well, they certainly have. And again, missed opportunities. Shaw's been the benefactor of a couple of those in the last 2 ball games. The interception against Winston-Salem State that Porter had to score, a couple of fumbles last week against Sanders, 5 turnovers, and they're able to win to get here today. We'll find out what they're made of right now.
By the way, they are watching Atkins very carefully as he throws over the middle to Gregory. And Julius will take it out beyond the 35 to about the 37-yard line. I was noticing the backup quarterback, Odom, who's the freshman out of Lakeland, Florida, is warming up on the sideline if Atkins continues to have trouble with the leg.
It looks like it's his right leg, and it looks like there's some tape. If you look right above the knee, it looks like there's some tape came and hanging out, so you can't tell if he got it scraped, if he tweaked it or something. But it's championship day. He's going to stay in as long as he can.
Another nice throws. You see that tape on that right leg. Inside handoff to Williams' fake. This is Atkins. He's throwing caution to the wind on that bad leg, and will get another first down.
He's all right.
For Shaw. Check into the sideline with DA to see what the next call is going to be. Said, hey, coach, I got hit pretty hard, but I like that play.
Now, if you're Virginia State now, this is a time where you've got to play solid technique football. You can't be emotional and say, oh, I got to make the big play, the knockout play. Do what you've done to get to a 7-7 ball game.
Atkins with his 1st and 10 at the 46 of Virginia State. Swings it on the near side to Williams. Williams was looking upfield that time and also heard Larry Armstead, number 28, coming hard, and just took his eyes off of it incomplete.
Yeah, he really did. And again, I think this is why you don't worry so much about Atkins being able to play if he is a little dinged up. Just a little short pass. That ball looks like it took off on him just a little bit. Williams maybe thinking ahead to the next play, trying to make something out of it. Armstead on the coverage.
So it's 2nd down and 10 now for the Bears. Bears again scoring in the first half to take a 7-0 lead. Virginia State a huge defensive stop and a blocked field goal for a touchdown. And that's the game story. Williams inside. Boy, I tell you what, that left side trap is just not working now, as that right side defense for Virginia State with the linebackers right up on the line of scrimmage have really paid some dividends, and the big fella Pratt leading the way.
Virginia State's the number 4 rush defense in the CIAA. They play the 3-4, and they depend on their linebackers to make plays. If you look there, you see those big numbers, the 40s and the 50s making plays. Sykes, Milo, Pruitt, Clifton Haney, number 52.
Sad you like Craig again. He's the lone receiver right side. The trips to the left. They've got a 3rd and pass. They're looking back the other way. Underneath, the pass complete. Goes to Bolden, and he's down to the 30-yard line. Bolden, who picked himself up, dusted himself off after a little ding, and catches another big pass for the Bears.
Why is Charles such a tough team? Because 10 different guys have made plays. You see pressure there. Atkins, plenty of time, rolls out. The steady man, the handy-dandy man, the guy you can call on in any situation. Tyrone Bolden, we get another catch.
They actually had the nickel back that time. That was Sean Smith was in there who made the stop. The kick return man on a 1st and 10. Here's a little delayed handoff to Williams. He's searching for a hole and makes something out of nothing. He gets a couple of yards.
I'm not sure they weren't trying a little trick there, because it looked like Gregory was a little slow getting off the football. Maybe he actually backed up a little bit, thinking it might have been a little pass or throwback. Again, when you're coaching against Shaw and Darrell Asbury at the helm as the offensive coordinator, you got to be ready for everything at every spot.
Eric Hargroves, the defensive coordinator for Virginia State, trying to play the cat and mouse game with Coach Asbury on the near side for Shaw. They got trips to the right. They're looking that way, and they throw that way. It's going to be a jump ball. Gregory had it at the 5, but could not hang on. Actually had it at the goal line and tried to make a one-handed grab and could not, as he was well defended back there.
It's a nice pass. I think Gregory gets kind of tangled a second. Let's see if he right there. See, he has a turn around across his body. And when he does that, he's got to kind of put a hand out there, and hopefully he can do something. Gewega, second team all CIAA with a couple of picks this year, there on the coverage.
So it's a third down. Trips to the right, wide side. Lone receiver on the short side to the left. Dunn is checked in as the running back. Out of the shotgun is Atkins. Big third down play to keep this drive alive, and he's going to actually run for it. He's got to get to the 30. There's a flag down well behind, and that would indicate there will be a potential holding, I believe.
And I'm not certain, and it looks like maybe they got Marcus McElvin, number 60. He's the one that's kind of continuing to eye the referee.
And they do indeed. So this will be marched all the way back, stopping that clock with 2:51 left to go here in the third quarter. You know, this is the 45th meeting between these two clubs at a rivalry that started.
Number 60 on the offense. 10-yard play in the previous spot. Remains third down.
This rivalry started back in 1909. Last meeting was in 06.
See if you can see number 60 here. Marcus McElvin gets a piece of the jersey just a little bit and brings him down, and there's a call.
You can extend the hands, but you can't grab. As long as you keep those hands inside your shoulder pads. And he did well there, but again, just the tendency to want to hold on. So third down, 18 yards needed here for the first down for the Bears.
Now, do you go underneath and try to keep this going and get a field goal? Do you try to get it all? This might be a nice time for a screen pass also.
They've got to get it to the 20. Helmet is off at somebody. They throw. It's going to be intercepted. Back it comes the other way. This is Ian White, the all-CIAA performer. They're chasing. And he's going to be finally going out of bounds after a big intercept here by Virginia State. And the defense has now showed some teeth once again for the Trojans. So again, celebration going on here for the Trojans.
This team forces a turnover in every ball game. Helmets flying. This is just an overthrow to Gregory. Ian White, as you mentioned, has been one of the best defensive players in the CIAA. His 5th interception of the year puts the ball in prime field position at the 45-yard line of the Shaw Bears, and now have the momentum totally swung as it now going in orange and blue.
Well, Ian White, after making that intercept, takes it 34 yards. And takes it to the 45. And now a flag is down as that snap goes off. Stopping the clock with 2:11 here in the third.
And this is what we were talking about, Sam, a moment ago, about being emotional. Your illegal procedure after a big play.
5-yard penalty, remains first down.
It takes some of the momentum away that you just got. You've got to be focused right there. It's only a 5-yard penalty. It's now 1st and 15, but it backs the ball up and it kind of slows the tide for the Shaw Bears.
34-yard interception return for White, who was named yesterday on the all-CIAA team. Boy, what a great group of youngsters we saw yesterday at the luncheon. Battle. He airs one out to the far side. That'll be intercepted the other way. What a cat and mouse game as Rico Brown makes the intercept for Shaw.
Downtown Rico Brown. This is another overthrow. They try to run the sideline route and get the ball in Barry's hands. Brown, his 3rd interception. But again, this is just great concentration and an overthrow. A guy on battle who only thrown 9 interceptions going into the day's ball game. 2 picks. This one a bad read. Looks, pressure, trying to go for the home run ball. Throws up the sideline. Nice coverage that time. The overthrow, the interception. Looking for Timothy Paul.
So again, as they make the defensive stop on one side, the other team says, well, anything you can do, we'll do a little bit better. Didn't get the return, but they do get the ball back again.
But if you're a team like VSU, you can't have those mistakes.
Running is done. Beyond the 20-yard line. This is exactly how Shaw started the game. Had spurts of this throughout the game. but again have only 7 points on the board to show for it.
Shaw 3 down against St. Augustine's. Williams has the big run with 3:50 to win the ball game. Down 3 against Winston-Salem State. Atkins scores.
They run it up the left side again.
Down 7 and tie the ball game early against a tough Trojan team early in the ball game. They've been down at least 5 times in the last 7 games at some point in the ball game and found a way to come back. This Shaw football team is not going to go away, and when you have momentum plays like Virginia State's had and you don't take advantage of it, Shaw makes you pay.
Well, DA, as a matter of fact, has been preaching play 60 minutes. That's exactly what they've had to do to win a majority of some really tough games this year. And speaking of tough games, another big run by Williams as he pushes it beyond the 30.
St. Augustine's last week was well on their way to being here for the championship. And you get down under 4 or 5 minutes and there's a turnover. And Walter Sanders, who had a heck of a ball game, fumbles. They go 3 plays, 65 yards. Shaw's riding from Raleigh to Durham in the championship game on his legs. So again, this is a team that's very resilient. I expect them to take advantage of this turnover.
There you see the season high, the rushing. And again, another short gain up the left side for only about a yard. As the defense for Virginia State, they have just really done everything they've been called on. Its Sykes was on the bottom of that pile, holding Shaw after all of those yards and all the breaks that might have gone their way occasionally. Hold them out of the end zone for only 1 touchdown. And of course their defense coming up with a couple of big plays.
Trying to get one more play in before the quarter. 2 backs in the backfield out of shotgun.
Atkins looking underneath. He does come underneath. It goes to Craig. Craig reached the 40-yard line, which will be the forward progress. Stop the clock with 1 second left to go in the third. 1 second on the scoreboard clock. 0.6 on the clock you see on your screen. Nonetheless, after they set it down, roll it, that should be it. And the clock winds out, and that's the end of 3. Well, looky here. We have a blocked field goal for 76 yards for the only score for Virginia State. Ties this game up at the end of 3. The CIAA Championship will come down to the final moments of this one. It's 7 Shaw, 7 Virginia State. We're back to Durham and the Durham County Stadium in just a moment.
It may be hard to believe, but just weeks ago, Janet Rydell was in need of a taste intervention.
I can explain.
We found this in the glove compartment.
I've never done spray cheese.
Really?
Okay, fine, but it's not like I'm ordering Chinese takeout every day.
CIAA Championship Football is being brought to you by Toyota, moving forward. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. By Nationwide, Nationwide is on your side. And by Food Lion, good neighbors, great prices. Well, some of the tailgate parties are still going on, and for whoever wins this game, you know it might go on for hours. And nothing has been settled yet. We start the 4th quarter. Sam Smith along with Stan Luter. Thanks for joining us. Wherever you might be, this is CIAA Championship Football. The defenses have been the big key today. Offensively for Shaw, who has the ball on a 1st and 10. And they keep running the football and gain a couple more yards, which will add to our Toyota 3rd quarter stats. And Stan, look at those numbers.
Well, here's the thing that it doesn't show. 26 plays for Virginia State for only 80 yards of total offense. Shaw, 72. Hey, 380 yards? Come on now.
Wow.
So somebody's doing a great job on the defensive side of the ball and the possession time you see. So, again, it's going to come down, as we thought, 4th quarter. And I still say, and I'm going to put it out here, turnovers and special teams.
32 minutes of possession time by Shaw offensively. That defense of Virginia State got to be getting a little bit tired as Atkins running for his life. Underneath goes to Bolden again. And the big fella has the 1st down and a few yards more before it gets into a wrestling match. He's thrown back from the 45, which will be the forward progress.
It's nice to have an outlet. A guy that's sure-handed and is going to try to make some positive plays. Atkins gets in trouble. You don't have anyone deep. Just go underneath, and you know that Tyrone Bolden is going to be someone that can make the play for you.
Bolden, one of those guys that has been around here, being a senior from Cleveland, Ohio. Youngstown State, where he first started his college football, transferred here to Shaw, and has been quite an attribute to this club throughout his fine years here in the Raleigh-Durham area. 1st and 10. Atkins, stretch draw that time. And again, they'll get it out for about a 3-yard gain. Middle linebacker again, who's been very active, number 50, Jeremy Pruitt, out of Far Rockaway, New Jersey. And he makes a stop, 6'2", 235. Gain of 3 on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 7. Stan, you almost kind of get the idea, just as we had the lightning strike with a blocked field goal, that's what's going to win this game, is one big play.
Yeah, the special teams, the turnover, the explosion play.
Wide receivers, double to the right. Atkins throws this one under duress. That time inside the tackles. No intentional grounding there, as he was under duress.
That number 80 was in the area. That's what the Shaw fans were saying, Bobby Holiday.
Good run that time by James Pratt, number 93, who put the pressure on and brought him down. Young man out of Alexandria, Virginia, and Edison High School. And again, the flag is now finally down. Well, it took a while to get down. A little indecision there. Now they're picking it up.
And they're going to say the ball passed the line of scrimmage, and Atkins was outside of the tackle box as a very gimpy number 93 Corey Pratt, who made the play, put pressure on Atkins, who's been helped off the field right now.
So Atkins will have another opportunity here with a 3rd down, and will still need that 6 yards for the 1st down. Bolden comes in. Daniel Lee leads for Shaw on the near sideline. Shaw, by the way, even though in a championship game, I don't know if you can be considered as your home team, even though they are in this game, have won 16 consecutive home games.
They've got slotted outside. Inside is 89. 15 is the middle receiver on the right side.
That's a dangerous one in Gregory. Atkins looking that way, slips momentarily. Now he throws underneath, trying to get it on the near side to Dunn. And Sean Smith hopping that. He didn't come down for that interception.
The pressure on Atkins. Atkins comes up limping once again. And then you've got to wonder, one, what's the injury? Secondly, you've got to say, okay, how long do you think he can go? Is Asbury going to try to get the number 2 quarterback, Sean Odom, who's only a freshman, has not thrown a lot of passes in his career at Shaw University, may have to come in the ball game.
Slipped that time by Atkins. He slipped with the left foot, which put a little more pressure on that knee as it's kick time, and Shepard booms a beauty. Sean Smith handles the ball. He loses it, and it's recovered by Daniels. Sean Smith tried to field the ball, could not, and it's recovered by Shaw at the 6-yard line. Did I say the lightning bolt? There it is.
Big mistake there. You're trying to make a play, but you're inside. You put your heels on the 10-yard line, and anything that goes over your head, let it go. You're feeling the football in the bright sun. You want to make a play, I understand. But in the Shaw players, we called it, but Virginia State has the football. I think it's going to go Shaw.
It was Daniel Lee who was down on top of it and made the fumble recovery after Smith had misjudged it, lost the handle on it, and this is a huge play.
Inside the 10, going over your shoulder, short arms it. There's the recovery. But you see the ball's loose right there. The ball is out, and Virginia State comes up with it. Wow. Wow.
So Lee, who makes the recovery at the 6.
Odom's in at quarterback, number 2, the freshman for Shaw.
Now you're in a comfort zone situation. At least you would think so in the red zone. But Shaw's had trouble here. Odom under center. They won't direct snap to him until he gets comfortable. Williams down to the 1. So Odom is not going to do anything fancy. You can bet on that right now. Turn and hand that ball off, and Williams does the rest.
Really like to look at that fumble again. Maybe the work from my vantage point, it looked like they thought that it was recovered by Shaw, and then it squirted out another time. Nevertheless, the Virginia State defense asked to hold the line one more time.
They have done yeoman work, giving up a lot of yards. There's the handoff up the middle, or at least the fake handoff, and he pushes in. Odom scores. Quinshawn Odom, just a freshman out of Lakeland, Florida, scores his first career touchdown. Actually, excuse me, he's thrown for 4, his first running touchdown. And now he'll hold for a very important extra point by Reed. Caleb Reed, who's had himself a nice career, even though he did not make the all-CIAA team. The kickers on the other side were, and he puts it up and good. So Reed adds the extra point after the lightning strike of a fumble punt by Sean Smith, recovered by Daniel Lee, gets it at the 6, a carry by Williams, and then takes it in for 1. So again it's Odom. Nice little work inside the 6 yards as he scores, and Shaw leads it by a touchdown.
I started working as a bagger at age 16. I noticed firsthand the worries customers had.
Well, a big turn of events on a fumble punt, a recovery, and then Odom, the backup quarterback, takes it in, and Shaw leads 14-0. Stan, it pays dividends when, of course, you've got that defense and a turning point here in this game.
That's a big turning point. Watch this ball squirt away from Smith, and see you see players recovering right there. That's why I think it may have been loose again, but nevertheless, Odom goes in, gets a touchdown, and Shaw's happy again.
So Shaw getting his first career touchdown, and a big one here, gets his club in the lead. And a couple of plays, Williams took it down to the 2-yard line, where again Odom will sneak it in. It was actually inside the 2, just barely. And the kickoff time here is Shepard will be kicking deep. This one actually will come up a little short at the 15. To the outside, that's Arioga, and he's going to carry it out to the 30, pushes up to around the 33. And somebody's Virginia State black helmet is still loose. As again, there it is, they're going to be picked up and carried off. So again, the defense will be called on here by Shaw to try to hold on to the lead, while the offense for Virginia State needs to get cranking here.
You got an offense that's less than 100 yards in total offense on the day. You've got a defense that's excited and got another live. I don't know if Bears have 9 lives, but certainly Shaw's living good right now. Now, does Virginia State have the poise and the savvy and whatever it takes to try to get a touchdown and tie this ball game up?
Jared Battle has been sensational under fire all year long. Let's see what he can do. This time they go on that direct Wildcat snap. Goes to Hawks, and Hawks will carry it for a nice gain out about 7 or 8 yards.
And that's one of the few times a day that Virginia State's had a +4 or 5 on first down. Most of their plays have been in a second down and long situation. This makes it very manageable. Hawks are a very talented young kid. Just comes in there. He's already had almost 400 yards on the season. Powers in, picks up about 7.
If you're familiar down in the Virginia Beach area, that Prince Anne, an outstanding high school, and that's where he comes from, is out of the snap. They throw it. It's going to be incomplete near sideline contact. But that ball may have been uncatchable as Lewis. Lamont Lewis was the intended receiver. And that time Skeen was the defender on the play.
Marcus Skeen did a good job of reading his keys and seeing the tight end Lewis come out.
Clock stops with 11:13 to go. Third down here, Stan. They need a couple of yards to keep the drive alive.
If I'm Faison and company, I got to think this has got to be 2-play territory. You got to get the first down.
Well, they're going to have Hawks out of that shotgun again.
Hurry.
He's out of the Wildcat. He'll take it behind a couple of blockers that came in, and he'll get it to the 45. That time they've moved Corey Young, the big tight end, at 6'2". 195 over to do some blocking. They also brought in a couple of other players, but did a good job with Hawks carrying it for the first down.
Mike Archer's the offensive line coach, and they always say that everybody, they give the backs the glory, but they feel like Mike Archer, what he's done with this offensive line has been phenomenal. He says, hey, fellas, ride our back. We're going to get you to the promised land.
Corey Sullivan, the offensive coordinator, gives it a call in, and they finally get it again. And this is Walker Walker had the big game last week, ranging for 87 yards, rambles for a sizable gain here. And he'll pick up nearly 9. It'll be second down and short.
Very physical inside runner. You see a nice block there by Eric Thornton, the center, number 64. Custer 73 leading the way for Rahu Walker. You've got Walker, Lyde, Hawks, and a kid that we haven't talked about in Carr today that actually can do some damage. So again, they're trying to use all their weapons right now. First time we've seen this variable of the offense.
Running back coach Chris Bates has shook him up pretty good as Hawks again out of the Wildcat for the first down. Well, anytime you need a short yard first down, that's going to be the play they're going to run. They'll line up and say, hey, here we come. And they've done that on a couple of successful occasions, and now the first down works for the Trojans.
They won 15-10 over Elizabeth City. It was that home game in mid-October that they kind of turned the season around with. And they ran a lot of Wildcat out of that for Lyde and also Hawks. Lyde was later injured in the ball game. So, again, that might be the strategy now. Try to get the ball in playmakers' hands.
Well, of course, the loss by Virginia State to Fayetteville State, 21-14, was one of the big ones. As again, they try to keep the run going to the 35-yard line as they move it down even deeper into Shaw territory. But Coach Faison indicated that the Bowie State game obviously turns out to be the game when they won 16-15, tying the Bulldogs for the title and thus getting the tiebreaker.
Copeland, Custer, 74-73, the left side of the offensive line. That appears to be the side that Virginia State's going to try to run over. Wildcat again.
Second down and 5. It's instant battle. Lines up as a wide receiver right. They give it inside. This is Walker. Walker diving, another first down for Virginia State. Where's this offense?
We saw this play early in the first half where they ran out of Wildcat. They sent Berry in motion, kind of looking like a fly sweep. They go in the dive. They didn't get anything. They come right back with this, a nice little block to the outside by Battle. And Rahu Walker, known primarily to go inside tackles, tries to break something to the outside.
479 Randall Wilson, out of Virginia Beach, made a great pulling block to free that one up. First and 10 to go. Virginia State offense has marched after the touchdown by Shaw. Here's Walker. Walker gets loose. Down to the 15-yard line. So Walker has been the man that has really come in and energized this offense with another great gain.
Watch this. Block. Fly sweep fake, Walker outside, bam, takes one, and then just tries to get as much yards as you possibly can. That's Rahu Walker. Nice game last week, as we mentioned, against St. Paul's. Had a couple of touchdowns. They like to use him inside the tackles. Right now, he's showing he can go outside as well.
Well, they really like this Wildcat offense at the moment as they will gain a couple on Hawks' run. Danae Hawks out of Virginia Beach. Interesting enough, Battle again continues to go split out to the right as a wide receiver. The quarterback out of the shotgun normally. Second down. They gain only a yard in the play, so second and 9.
What you try to do if you're V-State is the little Wildcat simulation is you don't take a direct snap from your quarterback. You flex your quarterback. See, there's your signal. This time they stay under center, but you're trying to get an extra back into the backfield, give him an opportunity to make a play.
Walker's the deep back. Here comes the end around. Comes to the near side. They're trying to get Berry loose, and he won't get anywhere.
Great job by Shaw. Chris Martin, yeah.
Snellsville, Georgia. A transfer from Jackson State is Chris Martin, number 40. And who was right there with him? You better believe it. It's Fred Sparkman, and you made a great move. Anything that moved, he's going to hit.
Do a great job of holding keys and then just kind of spreading this play out. You just kind of make him run wide, and then you see Fred Sparkman come in there. Martin does a great job. And don't forget 22, Gerald Kennedy, stringing it along, and then the help comes.
So now it's a third down and 9. So now suddenly the defense of Shaw, just as Virginia State was able to hold several times throughout the day, they have elected to go, and now we've got a timeout call. It's going to be to Virginia State takes the timeout.
Virginia State 31 of 40 on red zone conversions. Wants to make sure they get this one right. 25 touchdowns.
We're heading to the finish of the CIAA Championship. A touchdown separating the two challengers. we may not do total justice of what this game has been all about, but here's the best we can do at the moment. Toyota game summary. You see it, 14-7 with Shaw. Williams, 27 carries, 109 yards, 134 total yards for Virginia State. And, of course, the big turnover is the key in the game early on for Shaw. And now Virginia State trying to capitalize on one of their own. Battle back to throw. Their normal offense throws to the goal line. Is it intercepted by Kennedy?
It is.
It is. Kennedy in the end zone intercepts for Shaw. No one really knew until Kennedy came out with a ball over his head. They were throwing to the center of the end zone, and Kennedy comes up with the interception.
When you see this play, you're going to see it looks like two Virginia State receivers in this area. There's one. Maybe it was the two defenders. Yeah, there's two. I thought I was right. And the pass is thrown low and a little bit late. You're trying to throw away from one defender. Kennedy just does an outstanding job of attacking the football. I don't think Battle ever saw him.
So Gerald Kennedy comes up with another intercept on the day. His second of the day. And still plenty of time with 6:35 to go, the way this Virginia State defense is played. They might have an opportunity of getting it back for the offense at least one more time. Close to the vests for the Shaw Bears. Williams carries for short yardage.
If you're Virginia State now, you got to be encouraged that you can move the football. But what you also have got to say is, hey, we're making too many mistakes, especially when we get into the scoring area. A great defensive play by Gerald Kennedy. I'm not certain if Battle, one, didn't see the receiver, and secondly, if that was a busted play, because you've got two receivers that were running what looked like skinny post, short post areas, and the ball there a little late. Kennedy makes a big-time play.
That was a gain of about 4 yards, so it brings up a 2nd and 6. Check off at the line of scrimmage again by Odom, who has replaced the injured Atkins. And under center. Handoff, no place to run, great play. Well, I tell you what, they got tremendous pressure that time by Andre Adams, the senior out of Washington, D.C., Roosevelt High School.
Yeah, if you're Shaw, you're not trying to be very complicated. This is just going to be man-on-man. This time Adams just does a great job getting away from his blocker. And it sets up a third down situation, third and about 9-10. And if you're Virginia State and you think you got a chance to win the game, you've got to get a stop. You'll get decent field position. For Shaw, you do safety. Williams, take your time off the clock. We're down on about 8 on the play clock. Williams, you look for your steady man, that being Bolden, number 89.
He's got to get this out of there. The play clock was down to 1. Odom will throw his first pass of the afternoon, maybe. And maybe not, as he's going to be corralled and dropped at the 18. And another big loss of 3 more yards, and it's going to be kick time. And Virginia State will indeed get the ball back one more time at least.
Smart play by Odom, not trying to force anything. Under pressure, move as much as you possibly can. Take the sack. Clock continues to run. Now under about 4.5 minutes. And didn't make the huge mistake of trying to make something out of nothing and giving VSU great field position on an interception or possibly fumble.
Lincoln Shepard is average right at about 32 yards per kick. Gets one up, nose up. Sean Smith will make this catch, though, and cleanly this time, as he'll have it at around the 44-yard line, 1st and 10 for Virginia State. So now Shaw's defense will be called on to win the game, while Virginia State's offense says we have one more chance to get back in it.
Brand new Toyota.
Well, as we anticipated, it'd be quite a defensive battle. Of course, it was 7-0 at halftime with Shaw. And, of course, Virginia State came back, tied it, and then a fumble on a kick by Sean Smith recovered, and Shaw takes it in. But now Virginia State's defense has held one more time, as, again, they try to keep it on the ground with Virginia State. And plenty of time with 4:09, but you've got to be creative here now.
You've got to be creative, but you've got to be smart. You're very much encouraged by moving the football. You have the turnover in the red zone. If I'm Virginia State, and they did back to what we saw earlier, not getting anything on first down. They had success in that drive because they were able to pick up 5, 6, 7 yards on the first down, making second and third easier.
Battle staying in as the QB, even though Hawks has been out of the Wildcat. This is Battle. Throws it, going to be incomplete. Battle throwing that one under duress, trying to get it out on the near side. As far as their bench is concerned, and just came up short.
And just again a block there. You might want to think about just running the football, but just a little bit underthrown. Receivers just not able to get away. Paulk that time, the intended receiver. This is huge, folks. This is big. Third down.
Keep in mind a spot in the Division II playoffs hanging in the balance as well. With a third down and 9. Here it is. Rush is on by Porter. Battle gets away near sideline, it'll be out of bounds. No good. Catch was made, but it was out of bounds as James went diving. Young, dove to catch it, but he was out of bounds.
Now, do you punt the ball if you're Andrew Faison, or do you try to go for it? 4th down, 9 yards to go, 3:29 and 2 timeouts remaining. I think if you're Andrew Faison in Virginia State, I think I punt this and hope my defense can hold them, but it looks like they're going to go for this.
Well, you got to question yourself, even though you're maybe driving a Toyota Prius.
He knows his team better than we do, so I trust him.
Toyota Prius, you may not know if there's any more gas in the tank, but here it is, 4th down. 9 yards to go. It's incomplete. Shaw's defense has held. Battle literally let that one fly, and there wasn't too many people in this stadium that had a chance to catch it. So now with 3:25 left to go, Shaw will take over the football. Odom, the quarterback, will come back in again, replacing the injured Atkins, who has to be given a lot of credit because this young man stayed in for a long time, Stan.
Now, he's got a turned ankle, won't be back. And, you know, you can say, Darrell Asbury knows his football team. Andrew Faison definitely knows his team. You're trying to win a ball game. So, hey, okay, let's say, now if your defense can hold them again, you're going to be in worse field position, but you got the ball.
46-yard line to the Trojans. Belly handoff. They try to push Williams ahead. That won't work.
You know, and I applaud. I tell you, a lot of people may question, or do you go for it? Like I say, I may have punted the football. Then again, you think about it, you may have gone for it. He knows the numbers. But the thing I applaud Faison about is the fact that you're aggressive. You made a decision. And if it works, wow. What a gutsy 4th down call.
No,
it didn't right now, but you still got some time.
Now he's screaming for a timeout.
Yeah.
Had been for quite a while. I think he lost probably 8, 9, 10 seconds on that clock before the official finally acknowledged him on the sideline.
Last game of the regular season, as you mentioned now, if Shaw wins this, they probably will get a bid. If the CIAA doesn't get an automatic bid, they may get this because they're the number 6 in the Super Regional. And may, if other teams lose in the Pennsylvania Conference, West Virginia, they possibly could even move up. But you got to think if Shaw wins, they're going to go to the NCAAs. Then the question becomes on December 4th, who goes to the Pioneer Bowl? Is it a Virginia State team that will be 9-3, a Winston-Salem team at 8-2, or St. Augustine's team at 8-2? We'll have to find out. Parents will come out, announcement tomorrow at 3:30, so just kind of sit tight. Also, boy, I got a chance to get some great shots. I want to thank the cast and crew of all our games this year. You guys have been absolutely magnificent. Howard, you guys in the truck, we love you. The great thing about football or basketball or TV for us is that you travel, you meet a lot of people, and it's the people you meet along the way that make this thing special. And the guys and ladies that we have working with us to make us look good really do a great job. And I just love you guys to death, and thank you, camera people, ops, everybody else, producer, director, for another great season. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You talk about teammate and teamwork. Of course, Urban Sports, the producer along with ESPN, teamwork that has worked extremely good and makes our job a lot easier here. 2nd down. 2 minutes, 57 seconds left to go. 14-7 lead. Shaw with the lead and the ball. Delayed handoff. Williams into the secondary. Flag is down behind the play. That would have not been enough for a 1st down as they needed to get to the 36-yard line, but this will be from the spot of the foul back at the 48.
See, and that hurts Shaw in two ways. It stops the clock, and it backs the football up. And I think this play, the hold is going to be
10-yard penalty from the previous spot, remains second down.
Is away from the play. In other words, it had no impact really on the direct part of the play. Didn't get that number. But again, that's one of those plays where Darrell Asbury said, fellas, we don't need that right now.
So march it off to 10 yards, second down. 21 needed here. Actually 19, excuse me. That'll be closer to 20. 2:49 left to go nonetheless here in the fourth and final quarter. Virginia State's defense has done the Yeoman puts it on. Alden puts it on the ground. Virginia State's on top of it. And now they may have come up with a huge break here as the fumble recovery comes up in the name of Clifton Haney, who, by the way, was the man who blocked the field goal that resulted in a touchdown.
Clifton Haney, the sophomore, is always around the football. Let's take a look and see exactly what happens. It's just a miscommunication. You expect this with a new quarterback. Haney grabs that ball, gets his third fumble recovery that couldn't come at a bigger time. And Virginia State still has life.
2:37 left to go. The Trojans have it 1st and 10 at the 43-yard line of Shaw. The championship hanging in the balance with the Bears leading by a touchdown. Battle out of the shotgun. Look at incomplete. Intended on the near side. Trying to get it to Young. And that was knotted down, and a very nice play by Howell.
Nice pass there. Floats just a little bit. Just great defensive coverage there. LaMichael Howell, the senior, met his mother last week and little brother at the St. Aug game. They were trying to get back up here from Alabama to come to the championship game. Hope they're watching and happy.
There again, that ball goes to the left side. The defense again holds for very short yardage. Clock is rolling at 2:22 as Walker gets short yardage on it.
One timeout remains for Virginia State, so you got to have a play and another play. Make this fourth down, if that's what happens, manageable. You don't want to have a fourth down and long situation.
Stanley Porter becoming a cheerleader at defensive left end for Shaw, encouraging their fans to get on their feet. Big third down play. Walker goes in motion. Porter almost went off sides. Battle over the middle. It's going to be incomplete. Defensive play made, and a great one indeed. Knocked down by Sean Bryce. And the sophomore will force the fourth down play.
Is that Bryce? I think that might have been Evans, who was the defensive rookie of the year. Watch this. Is that Darnell Evans? I believe it is 25 that comes up and makes that play. Nevertheless, Bryce, yeah, that's Evans.
So it'll be fourth down. Here it is. They're throwing for Brooke up the far sideline. Too far, incomplete. And the Shaw defense holds again. Intended receiver Falk just couldn't catch up with it.
This is very similar to the play they tried late in the third quarter that was intercepted. Battle just a little late, leads him just a little too far. But again, what can you say about the Shaw defensive backs? And again, Andrew Faison has talked all year long about bending but not breaking. So we give up some stuff, but we're not going to give you a lot. You see exactly why he said that. That great defensive plays by Evans and by Howell.
So 3 turnovers. Downs have been a problem. Fumble, punts, interceptions. Been a long day. Williams keeps it on the ground. The clock rolling again, as we pointed out. Virginia State has one last timeout, and they've taken it. Stopping the clock with 1:27 left to go. Well, Stan, it's been a very interesting football season, and I was talking to the commissioner at halftime, and you and I visited on it. It came down to the final week of the season before these two teams were officially acknowledged as the winners for both the North and the South. Of course, Virginia State had lost once, as had Bowie State. Virginia State won a 16-15 win, thus getting here, and then the big showdown between Shaw and St. Augs last week. Let's take a look at our all-CIAA first-team defensive unit. And, of course, Malcolm Jenkins, the senior defensive end from Elizabeth City, as our Defensive Player of the Year. But you can see there's some outstanding players. 3 of those on Shaw here today. Ian White, who came up with a great defensive play early in the game, also on that first team.
First time in recent CIAA history you'd have 5 teams that 8 wins or better. And you have teams that are playoff possibly bound.
Williams just biding his time after the timeout had been used by Virginia State. No more timeouts for them. And 1:23 and ticking down. Couple more plays and the Shaw Bears will be coming up with a potential another championship in their arsenal. Man down, unfortunately, for Virginia State. That is going to be Vespri. Rashid down right in the middle. Coach Faison, of course, a tremendous defensive back with Virginia State, coaching under Lou Anderson. Also coached at Winston-Salem State before coming back to Virginia State. And again, his seniors football club give their all today. But unfortunately, the turnover problem has been a monumental one to overcome for the Trojans.
Turnovers, missed opportunities. They just didn't take advantage of the chances they had. But while we got a second too, we want to thank all the CIAA fans and our sponsors that have come out and supported us all year long, and we appreciate everything you do.
Well, of course, we have to come up with a situation after the replay here, and there you see it. And our MVP, why not, 31 carries, 115 yards, and a touchdown. Raymond Williams, the fine tailback of the Shaw Bears, the winners of today's game. And over the top he goes for the first touchdown of the afternoon. So congratulations, Food Lions MVP. Again, Raymond Williams of the Shaw Bears.
You just had a feeling when I saw it, and I knew it was going to be tough. We had 4 outstanding running backs in the CIAA, as we mentioned early in the game. You just had a feeling that Raymond Williams, who was all-conference last year, didn't make first team. And you're just surprised at what motivates him. He didn't talk about it, but you kind of had the feeling it was burning inside. I'll show you. and so they go out today. They're just, seconds away, 1:15 from winning another championship. And again, over the last 10 years, I would have to say that the dominant program in CIAA football, Darrell Asbury and the Shaw Bears. And Winston-Salem said they're back, and they're going to have something to say about it, but they'll have to wait till next year, just like Elizabeth City will, and Bowie will, and Fayetteville. Fayetteville State, defending champions. You're going to hear something about them next year. They'll be back. Kenny Phillips will have his team ready to go.
Well, Shaw will lose 3 of their down 5 linemen up front. They lose Williams, the running back. 3 of their top receivers will be gone, all graduating. That's just on the offensive side. Defensive side also, 6 or 7 seniors will also be playing their last game here at Durham. And of course it comes in a championship time as they're celebrating here at the Durham County Stadium as Shaw comes up with 25 seconds to enjoy a 7-point win over Virginia State in the CIAA Championship. And Stan, the emotions are running high right now.
You look at their last few wins. They had to grind it out the final 3.5 minutes to get the win last Saturday against St. Augustine's. A big play by Stan. If Stanley Porter doesn't intercept the pass, they may not, as they dump the water on Asbury, they chase around Massey. They got a lot of things going on, but congratulations to the Shaw Bears, the CIAA champions for 2010.
Fred Sparkman looking at Coach Asbury and said, I told you so. I told you we could do it. They started 1-2. They had started 1-2 in 07 and 08. Came back to win the title. I guess they want to start 1-2 every year. Coach Asbury said, I'd rather not, though. But when it results in a championship, you can see why. Well, there's happiness on one side. Of course, dejection on the other. Virginia State, what a great year they've had getting this title game, and the 2 coaches wanting to duke it out a little bit here, but you can tell there's a lot of mutual love and admiration there at midfield right now.
There's a class act right there, and not only Darrell Asbury, but Andrew Faison, and then 9 years at Bennett, Virginia State. They've been close. They've had injuries. They had a couple of kids, and sadly, that passed away tragically. They've had a lot of things that go against them, but he's only had 2 losing seasons in the 9 years, and it's been a class to the CIAA and a class to Virginia State. And I know Peggy Davis and the administration of Virginia State are very proud of that young man. But the day goes to that young man, Darrell Asbury and the Shaw Bears.
Well, of course, there were a lot of interesting plays in this game today. Well, one has to stand out. Our Bank of America play of the game, and here it is. The fumble kick by Sean Smith, the recovery by Lee. Even though it looked like it may have still been loose, Shaw gets it, punches it in, and that turned out to be the winning score of the day, as Odom took it the final 2 yards. Well, Stan, they celebrate. Big day here for Shaw and the Bears.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't the prettiest game, but it was a hard-hitting game. It was 2 teams that gave everything they had for 60 minutes. That's the problem. You got one side that's so excited they've won a championship, and another team, another side that was so close, but yet so far away.
Well, that Bank of America play of the game turned out to be the difference in this one, as there's Williams, our MVP. As again, the coaches, people celebrating. Shaw wins it by the score of 14-7. And they had to play it hard and long. CIAA Championship football. In Durham, you see the hardware that'll be passed out to the MVPs and the team. Stan, again, this is the way we want it. It comes down to the 2 teams battling and giving their best.
That's what it's all about right there.
You can see the emotion in the face of these players. As those get to celebrate, the others get to commiserate. So again, on behalf of all of our crew, thank you so much for joining us with CIAA football this year. On behalf of Stan Luter, this is Sam Smith. Thank you. This has been a presentation of Urban Sports and ESPN. ESPN, the worldwide leader of sports. So long, everybody, from Durham.
On the trip, Utah trailed by double digits at some point during a game, only to come back and, of course, win. Including the Clippers before their road trip, the Jazz have won 5 straight despite having a double-digit deficit in each, including the big one right there on Tuesday at the Miami Heat.
White has room. Goodbye. 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Wisconsin. James White, 30 yards to the house.
The points as plentiful as brats in Madtown. What Wisconsin was able to accomplish for the first time in 95 years. Plus the old ball coach returning to his old stomping grounds. See if the winningest man in Gainesville can lead South Carolina to its first victory at the Swamp. And Tiger Woods looking to make a move up, down under. See what the world number 2 did for the 2nd time this year. You're watching the Highlight Express.
Love Subway $5 footlong subs for lunch. But did you know we're serving up deliciousness all day? For breakfast, choose a